ancient prophecies telling us that the world will be transformed.
Wacky world of WILCOCK, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of WILCOCK. How much money can he steal? It's the wacky world of WILCOCK, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of WILCOCK. How much money can he steal? He makes all this stuff up and claims that it's all true. The aliens want to eat us. Be careful that they don't get you. It's the wacky world of WILCOCK, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of WILCOCK. How much money can you steal? It's the wacky world of WILCOCK, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of WILCOCK. How much money can you steal?
This is where if I have a live audience, I get everybody to hug each other. I say, give your neighbor a handshake or a hug, whatever you feel is appropriate to you. And that way everybody feels the love a little more. I will never believe it, I will never believe it. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you need 25,000 more years, I don't know, buddy. But look, this is really compelling information, and it's going to get a lot more intense. It's coming up in a couple days here on Sunday, so if you haven't already signed up, we have reopened the cart. We still have the payment plan in place. That account, I believe, is real. I've watched it for a long time, and he says a lot of really provocative stuff there that has definitely caught my attention on many, many occasions. I've heard this briefing many times. Incredibly, incredibly sad, but probably a lot more than just what it looks like on the surface. If you don't really see what's going on here, this might not make sense. I don't know if I can say this, but I mean, he's already said this before, that Ben built spaceships that we're using in this off-planet situation, which is, you know, when you really find out what's going on and what's happening on Earth, it's very depressing, and it totally fits with biblical prophecy, because it appears that both gray aliens and reptilians are feeding on human bodies. That's one of the things that you learn. We need to get rid of these human traffickers. We need to get these aliens out of here, because they are demons. And it's worse than you think. What's going on with the border? Most of those people are not going to become American citizens. That's what they call a meat wagon. And I heard about meat wagons all the way back in 2010, that they let people through the border, they put them on a bus, they drive them into an underground base, and whatever happens from there. These human-looking extraterrestrials are soaking in a liquid bath that's made from human bodies. This is apparently what grays have to do to survive. That's why their DNA is breaking down, is that their genetics, they cloned themselves off of a small subject pool. But the part that we don't know is that the way that they try to stay alive is by using human growth factors and stem cells. And we, as in our secret government, have made the grays an alternative option that can keep them alive, but they don't like the taste. Okay, I'm going to tell you something really dark, and I'm sorry, but what's happening is that those UFOs are pulling up to corrupted U.S. military elements, and then they pick up their payment from the ship, if you follow what I'm saying by payment. They're picking up their payments. Our military is doing this. We took a crappy deal, we took a horrible deal, and we now have enough technology that we can actually get rid of these people and stop the payments. But in order to do that, we're going to need a civilian space force. We're going to need a civilian-led, or at least a civilians with military, so that we can go against corrupted aspects of our own infrastructure that are actually cooperating with these beings and using this for their own sustenance, I guess. And wouldn't you know, I got a tractor driving right behind me. There is a war going on with the Draco right now, and Pete would talk to me about this, and he said that we were winning. There's about from what Pete said, there's about 3,500 of these ships out there that Ben built, at least, that we're using. And he said there's Americans all over the galaxy. He said that we have colonized 65 locations off planet Earth throughout the galaxy, and that each one of these locations typically will have at least 3,500 soldiers there.
So
And
first
the big
of all,
thing is to fight these reptilians. In fact, I just got a whole bunch of new information on the Draco today, believe it or not. They are distributed all throughout the constellation Draco. And apparently the reason the constellation Draco was named that way is because there's a lot of them out there. One of the main contingents of Greys that are here, that are working with our secret government, they require human protein to survive, or so they think. They like the taste. They soak in it like a bath. I don't know how they prepare it. I don't know. They don't need, so the Greys apparently don't need Satanism to be involved in the preparation of the food, but the reptilians do. The reptilians, they prefer to eat meat, whereas the Greys actually do kind of like a blended human shake.
a human smoothie, yeah, got it.
So that's I'm sorry to talk about this, but I feel like I got to get this out somehow. You know, if something happened to me, I wanted to make sure everybody knows this. So I don't think anything will, but you know. Hey, it's your buddy. Real debut of our anti-gravity and free energy company. This is not a hoax. We're actually moving forward to do these technologies, get them out to the public. And so I'm here today just to remind you, add these questions. Look over here now. You know, I don't expect you to have 4 camera angles like this. So I want to share with you a video that I shot in our secret hangar. It won't be secret for a whole lot longer, but you know, we're just trying to not let it be too obvious so that our enemies don't get a head start. And I am here in our undisclosed location, which is codenamed Snapper. And this is the future, folks. This is where we're going to be prototyping your hover car that we would like to have ready for commercial development at an affordable price in the not too distant future, hopefully within 4 years, and a working prototype within 1 year. As you can see, I was not lying to you. Hello! We will be hoping to sell you hover cars very soon. I can't actually live in the building. I asked, and our zoning regulations don't allow that. I believe that what you're seeing here is a totally feasible machine, a totally feasible device. So this is the Holy Grail. As part of the aerospace community, we don't only want to pitch foreign countries, we also want to pitch the United States on our products. To be perfectly honest with you, we haven't had the kind of interest and participation from United States investors that we had wanted. I performed. And then now we have some new investors. You have to use the orgasmic energy, apparently. There's something about the orgasmic energy. You know, rub-a-dub-dub, 4 minutes. I'm not even going to go there, okay? But I'm your deadbeat dad. I've never met 45. It didn't quite happen. But I had a dream years ago where it said I was one of the founding fathers of anti-gravity, or that I would be seen as one of the founding fathers. In aerospace, in order to do engineering, it can cost like $2 billion a prototype. Engineering is incredibly expensive, and the main reason is because a lot of people don't know what they're doing. And it turns out that people don't really know how to make airplanes very well. It is very expensive to make new jets, but from all the people who I've spoken to on the inside, it's a commonly held belief for spacecraft designer on Earth today. I want to show you, first of all, a 3D printed version of a craft that we designed will actually travel through space if we so desire. I was very proud of myself. This was the first time I've been able to get the 3D printer to make one of these. Now, wait a minute, David, that looks kind of evil. That looks like the devil's pitchfork. What the hell are you all doing here? This is a plane that is literally capable of traveling at Mach 4. This will be the fastest airplane as possible. So this is what you would use if there's a sudden spontaneous invasion and you barely have enough time to get your guys into the jets. I'm a retard, okay, so y'all can laugh. I put the wings on upside down. This is before Ben, I said, could we please make some, you know, like special part on the wings? It's like a square notch that we can put it in. He did. So the engines are upside down, but I just thought I don't know, maybe they work that way. When I thought about it more, it didn't make any sense. But anyway, it turns out that people don't really know how to make airplanes very well. Now, I had no idea that when I printed these out that any pattern would emerge. This is actually what happened. If you look at the image of the first three, so there's a plate. So obviously I'm not, the Jesus statue is already there in our house. I'm talking now about the plastic below Jesus, because there on the back side of this model of what looks to me an awful lot like the crucifix, right? This is really incredible. I mean, I don't know what the hell to make out of this. This does not appear to be an accident. This is no bluff to try to raise money for no reason. My wife and I actually were down to our last $3,000 before we started this course. So it was a pretty dire situation. You know, the way that it got timed was, it just happened to work out. I might not actually be your deadbeat dad. That was more of a figure of speech. In this video that will become part of history if we do end up doing the Wright brothers of anti-gravity. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. It is time for, I suppose, another episode of the Wacky World of WILCOCK. For those unaware, in the beginning of our broadcast here, I decided to play these clips from about 1.5 years ago. And in those clips, David WILCOCK was promising people a lot of things, like his aerospace company was going to create space planes and hover cars. And after thoroughly investigating his company, what we actually find out is that it has been called an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme in court documents. An investor of theirs, very unhappy, is suing them. And in those court documents for that lawsuit, called their company an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme. Further investigation revealed even more court documents because apparently many of the people that performed work on that hangar David WILCOCK was so proud of were never paid. I think, to the best of my knowledge and recollection, to the tune of over $100,000. And then more investigation revealed that David WILCOCK's shady aerospace company, and the court documents reveal in some of those court cases that their only means of income is from renting garbage dumpsters, renting their facility to a company who stores garbage dumpsters there. So all of David WILCOCK's lofty promises of creating free energy and hover cars and space planes and advanced jet fighters, it all falls apart because the company that he hooked up with and allegedly or apparently invested millions of dollars with is a less than reputable company that has never produced a single aircraft or aircraft-related product or service. But they've been in business for over 20 years. So if somebody can explain to me how you can run a company for 20 years and never produce a single product or service, and by the way, Stavati has been caught lying about having government contracts to create laser weapons for the United States military. That turns out to be a lie. They've been caught lying and saying that they have wind tunnel contracts with the government. FOIA requests and investigation revealed that that's all a lie. But particularly one of the lies that David WILCOCK and Stavati Aerospace CEO have been telling, we heard it here in the beginning of our broadcast. He's referring to Christopher Beskar as Ben, one of his secret sources, but later reveals that Ben is Christopher Beskar, the CEO of a shady aerospace company. And so what David WILCOCK has done, I'm just amazed with, as if the company is not in enough trouble as it is for promising all kinds of jobs to get tax breaks to the local Niagara, New York authorities. By the way, they've created not a single job, and being sued by all their creditors, being sued by investors who allege that they are a Ponzi scheme and investment scam. We can add consumer fraud to the list of, legal problems they may have, because David Wilcock is literally telling people that the CEO of an aerospace company, which is actively seeking investors right now, created 3,500 spaceships to fight the Draco reptilian aliens in space. And conversely, Mr. Stavati spoke at a recent disclosure conference run by David Wilcock and Corey Good. You remember him, the guy who told secret space stories for 8 years and then admitted in a court deposition under oath that he'd never even been to space. You remember that guy. Real reputable. That's exactly who a real aerospace CEO should be hanging out with. A secret space grifter who for 8 years defrauded the public with his fake stories about his Buck Rogers science fiction secret space missions, and then admitted that he made it all up. It was all fake. It's kind of ridiculous. But what interests me is the consumer fraud side of it. Now, I have to preface this by saying I'm not a law enforcement officer. I'm not a lawyer. But I am a consumer. I just don't understand how David Wilcock can charge people or Corey Good, David Wilcock, they're charging people $400 to see a person that they claim created 3,500 spaceships for the United States government. I don't get it. If he can't prove that claim, wouldn't that be considered a form of consumer fraud? You're charging people $400 to hear a speech from a guy that you say created 3,500 spaceships. And is David Wilcock really that dumb to believe that a guy who's had an aerospace company for over 20 years and hasn't produced a single airplane somehow magically created 3,500 spaceships? And by the way, a lot of people have asked me about this disclosure conference, and what we can see is that the once great influence, I have to say, of David Wilcock and Corey Good is completely and totally gone. I spoke with somebody at the Best Western Hotel where they had their disclosure conference, who was present during that weekend, who told me that there was something like 120 people there. Now, that includes everybody, the speakers, the audience. And by the way, this is a single source. I freely admit that. I wasn't able to get any other on-the-record source from that hotel to confirm these numbers, but the person that I spoke with seems very honest. They work in the hotel and told me that the conference was in a room that only holds 120 people if they seat it that way. It holds less if you do banquet seating with tables, but if it's just chairs and a lectern, the room that the conference that David Wilcock and Corey Good were running was in only holds 120 people. But remember that they were charging something like $400 to attend this conference. And then I'm sure a lot of stupid people gave them $99 to stream it, or I think that's what it cost. But even at 120 people, when you realize that people paid $400, that's something like $40,000 or $50,000 that they took in gross from stupid people. And you would have to be stupid, in my opinion, to attend a conference about disclosure from a group of proven liars that lied to David Wilcock and Corey Good lied to everybody about Corey Good's secret space adventures for 8 years. Who would pay money to see these two clowns? And then, of course, David Wilcock is such an egomaniac that he thinks he's so important. You're so important that you can only get 120 people to show up to a live event that you were at if you've been on television for 8 years. And I just don't get it. We'll take a moment to welcome in the live chat. We've got a great audience here already. We're going to get into his latest live stream, which is called Stunning New Intel. And I just want to put this on the record. I don't know anybody dumb enough. And, you know, I hate to use the term dumb or stupid people for people that support these guys, but I just don't get it. And the only thing that I could think of why David Wilcock's grift has lasted so long is because people forget. They forget that in the year 2000, he promised everybody superpowers. And they forget, and leading up to the year 2012, he promised everybody we'd all get telekinesis and levitation and rainbow light bodies. The Ascension event would happen. People forget that nothing this man ever predicts ever happens. But now he's got a new grift, of course, claiming to be in contact with the Archangel Michael, which we have proven here through a biblical principle called the test of a prophet. He's not in communication with angels. He couldn't be because he's wrong about everything. And God and angels wouldn't give completely bad information to one of their chosen prophets. Besides the ridiculousness factor of who's dumb enough to believe that the Archangel Michael went to a decades-long New Age grifter scammer and gave him secret and sacred knowledge and then said, you know what, sell it for $333. This makes no sense, my friends. But, you know, welcome to the wacky world of Wilcock. So we're going to put our fair use banner up. And I have to tell you that although people like me to go through these, honestly, you know, sometimes they're not that funny or not that entertaining. And it's just kind of like, really, I got to sit through this clown talking nonsense and connecting dots that don't exist for 3 hours straight. Like, sometimes I just, you know, we like to please the audience here, but sometimes I just go, I can't listen to 3 hours. So I don't know. We'll see how long, we'll see how it goes. During this live stream, he made a lot of really strange statements, such as he would become physically ill when he had to be intimate with a woman. Yeah, and I get it. A lot of people have speculated about Mr. Wilcock's sexuality. It's not my place to do that here, but you know, there's rumors of him being gay or liking to get pegged. I mean, I don't know. This is just stuff people tell me. I don't know if it's true that he likes to get pegged with a 10-inch long black dildo, but that strap on, but that's what somebody sent me a message about. And these wild sex parties that take place. Who knows? Who knows? I know his wife left him. Maybe she got tired of pegging him. I don't know if he's into that or not, but there's a lot, and it's enough to say there's enough rumor. There's rumors about him and his sexual preference and his sexuality. It's not my place. And you know, I say whatever floats your boat. You know, if he's a homosexual, he should be proud of being a homosexual and just be, you know, an out, you know, loud and proud gay man. I have gay friends and no problem with people choosing that. There's also rumors that he was going to turn into a trans woman or something. I don't know. Maybe that's coming up on the wacky world of Wilcock. So I'm going to put my fair use banner up. We're going to see how far we get through this. We want to welcome everybody for another edition here of the wacky world of Wilcock. This, of course, is fair use. It's a transformative work. We're educating the public and critiquing the videos we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and certainly allowable by law. And just a quick programming note, I've mentioned this before, but David Wilcock is now falsely copyright claiming anybody that uses clips from his show. So each time we do one of these episodes, I have to file a mountain of paperwork in order for us to get our $20 for the YouTube ad revenue we would normally get without all of that hassle. So we would appreciate the support. You could send a super chat or a PayPal pledge. We read every single super chat and we appreciate the support since somebody's trying to, you know, step all over free speech. And given that Mr. Wilcock allegedly copies 50 to 60% of all of his books from other authors and then sells it for profit, of course, yes, he cites sources, but come on. He obviously believes in fair use, but he doesn't want people using clips of his show under fair use. It's just, it is what it is. But there's some kind of copyright vulture now attached to all of his videos, and it doesn't make any sense because Corey Good is not in this video that we're sharing. But the copyright claim comes from some other video almost. It appears to be like David Wilcock and Corey Good, Cosmic Disclosure, episode this. It's not We're not sharing that. So I don't know how the copyright system on YouTube is falsely claiming copyright on a video that's not even the video we're sharing. But welcome to the copyright vulture system. These are companies that some of these guys hire to try to stop people from, I don't know, using their clips. We will not be intimidated into silence. If you're going to make out of this world fantastic claims, including claiming that you got superpowers from taking a bath in your own piss, I'm allowed to play the clips and talk about it. And yes, we do play we're going to play a long section of this, but this is a transformative work. Nobody could mistake it for David's original video. We're critiquing and talking about the video. Yeah, Archaic Revival says he isn't a gay guy's type. He's not pretty enough, I guess. Yes. And we're sharing comments from the live chat. We're discussing it. This is certainly covered under fair use, and we will defend our legal rights to use this video under fair use in the legal way in which we are using it. We will vigorously defend our rights to do that. So let's get into it, friends. Stunning new intel for stupid people. You've got to be an idiot to think that he has intel, right? I would think you get.
Hey, welcome back. It's David Wilcock. I don't have my alien mask on. I'm sorry if I let some of you down for that reason. We're also trying a new thing. We're doing ultra low latency, which I should be able to do. So that means instead of it being a 30-second delay, it's almost instantaneous. Should be only a couple of seconds.
I predict a lot of technical problems during this stream. Allow me to have better
interaction with you guys. So
hey,
welcome
Anna
to the show. I'm
Louise
David Wilcock, and this
member.
is going to be probably the weirdest of all the weird shows that I've ever done in my life. And you'll see why in a little while. I am happy to be here today.
I agree.
I do still have the zit under my eye, so I'll just start on the close. Yeah, it's right there. This has been a great thing, though, in some ways, because, it's been kind of a big problem. Like,
what kind of 50-year-old man is suddenly getting facial acne? Somebody asked in the live chat during a previous broadcast if he got herpes or something. I don't know.
People are saying the chat slowed down. I've already got lots and lots of fan interaction going on here. Hi, David. Long time no see. What's your take on JP, Dr. Sal's buddy? I haven't heard about him yet, but I did hear there's a new insider that's talking about 20 and back, so I guess that's probably what you're talking about.
Is that true, Just
Somebody says, badass. I loved your Ascension.
Wilcock's wife is banging Daryl Anka.
So excited to see you. G'day, Dave from Australia, mate. All right. Got to have a bit of representation for Colin McGeezer.
He thinks
you know how it goes, mate. You got to cook things out there on the barbecue.
Perms his hair? Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't ever do shrimp on the Barbie, though. That's one Australian thing I won't do because it's just too derivative and too. Oh my gosh, I'm already making money. $20 from Spirit Dragon, $1.99 from Daisy Alvin Fred.
Dave,
I love.
Can you tell how desperate this guy is for money? He never said anything about the super chats for years. He just took the super chats and ran. Now he's calling out $20 super chats and thanking his loser following, the stupid crowd that watches him and sends him money. And I just want to ask anybody that sends David Wilcock money, like, do you live in a multi-million-dollar mansion? Because he does, right? He doesn't need your money, I don't think, but it is what it is. Maybe he does because he claims he's $1.5 million in debt to the IRS.
Love you, please get some help.
Get some help.
Look, you guys are my strength. You're my help. So if you're mean to me, I might get a little sad, but if you're nice to me, I'm going to feel better. I did an event last weekend. I was really happy about that.
Yeah, an event with 120 people.
Says, I love you. Hi, David. How are you? Joan Rippey says, I'm excited to hear from Southern.
There's more people at a Star Trek convention than that showed up. There's more people at a Warhammer or Dungeons and Dragons or comic book convention than showed up to see Corey Good and David Wilcock. Their days of big money live events, I think, are over.
In California. Do an interview with Hidden in Plain Sight if you believe your claims are truthful. Oh, I don't need to talk to skeptics. That's always a setup. They have intellectual dishonesty.
Oh, yeah. We're intellectually dishonest.
And in fact, one of the things that I wanted to go through today is the proof that I went through.
He's calling skeptics intellectually dishonest. Here's a man who uses fake government insiders, fake secret space program whistleblowers, and other, he's used a court-martialed child molester as a source. Maybe that's intellectually dishonest. Maybe not telling your audience that the guy you claim was a government insider was really just a senile old con artist. Maybe that's intellectually dishonest, David.
Something very similar to what Corey Good and I were talking about on Cosmic Disclosure, the idea of a secret space program. This really hit me out of nowhere. It came to me as I was working on my stuff for the Michael prophecies. It started out with September 2021. I had this weird prophecy about the idea that we were going to have
you get better disclosure of Liars Anonymous meeting. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. And it's stranglehold over UFO information. A coup? How do you even get something like that? Military-industrial complex seems to be so huge.
Yep.
And most people, as I've been going through week after week, are not aware of the enormity of what's going on. But anyway, I want to read a little more comments here. We got 2,000 people already. Today, David's coming out as an alien. Yay.
2,000 stupid people.
You are wonderful and helpful. Wow, it's starting to get really fast. Look at the speed, folks. I can barely even read it. David, will your new series, Michael Prophecies, be in book form? Yes, we are going to do that.
I can't because I got a
But
problem.
in the meantime,
I only have 2 cams in here.
It's available right now. Just like to show my age, there was a television show when I was a kid called 7 Broads for 7 Brothers. Well, I'm doing 7 books for $70. That's right.
His forehead's getting bigger
Michael
and bigger as
Prophecies
time
is
goes
being
on.
discounted to just $10 a copy. You have to buy the whole thing for $70. And we're doing this for a fundraiser. This is a good thing. I think you're going to realize once you hear today's talk why Michael Prophecies is so exciting, why you might want to read this. There's very, very compelling
It's nice
stuff
of him to
going on
offer
here.
discount bullshit.
And
from his
I am very
angels.
excited because we are finally going to get through something that just popped up this
In other
morning
words,
that has
nobody
blown
bought
my
it at
mind. Now, when I was at the conference
$333,
last
so he
week,
had to drop the.
I had a woman there
price.
whose name was Jimena, and she was from Santiago, Chile. And in fact, our whole entire administrative staff for this event, which was at the Best Western Inn in Loveland, Colorado, the whole event was
Nothing says
actually
prestige
being done
appearing at the
and
Best
run
Western.
by Latinos. And we had people from Brazil, we had people from Mexico. It was awesome. So our
racist,
whole
isn't
administrative staff was Latino. And I mean, I don't know, like now they want you to call it Latinx or something, and then
He's
it
talking
became
about the
Latin,
hotel
but now
staff.
people don't like that. I'm just going to go with Latino. That's what we heard in
Tax
in
debt
college.
fundraiser. Yes,
that term was widely used.
It's only
when I
$1.5
was in
million
college in
away
the
from
mid-90s. But
paying
anyway,
those taxes off.
That became one of the interesting things that showed up in a time loop. The idea that I was going to be at an event that was run by people who are
He uses
Latino.
7 cameras.
And there's a lot of other things to talk about today. Anyway, Jimena came up to me and she talked about a series of Virgin Mary apparitions that took place between 1961 and 65 in Spain at Garabandal. And I didn't even actually look for this stuff until this morning.
Patty.
And when I saw it, I was so amazed. It is exactly the same thing that they say in the Michael prophecies, and it features Archangel Michael. Now, there's also going to be some very interesting stuff in this show because it was around February of 2022.
Ghetto.
My divorce had happened. I'm living alone in this house. I have no money. I am dealing with trying to write these books, which I already had started this process by researching what these readings had been that I had pulled through back in the 1990s. So
does anybody else think it's a little bit of a coincidence that his wife leaves him and maybe he starts suffering from like vaginal withdrawal and all of a sudden he's talking to angels? Like maybe he just went loopy from lack of vaginal access. I've seen it happen. That's a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. When a man is used to steady access to the vagina and then that vagina is suddenly gone, a man can go a little crazy, right? A little crazy.
In case you haven't heard this before, let's go close again just for fun. In 1996, I received telepathic communication that was utilizing the principles of remote viewing.
He'll
and
hitch
remote
his
viewing
wagon
was
to
being
any
widely
bullshit
talked about
story.
on the Art Bell Show, the top paranormal radio
He
show,
just keeps
20 million
repeating
listeners.
himself.
on
Does
all-
anybody else notice that? every single stream. Oh, I'm doing this remote viewing protocol. I'm talking to angels, just the same shit over and over again. The only reason he's doing a new stream is to pitch his now discount bullshit books. I guess he figured out nobody was buying them at $333, so he lowered the price, and to do the super chat shuffle because he's desperate for money.
All over the place on the AM radio
This is the
dial
only
at
form
night.
of income
You can hear it anywhere in America. It was
that I'm
syndicated.
aware of.
And his favorite guests talked about remote viewing.
Yeah, let me address that.
And the idea that the
why no Rumble? The gold color. We've been on Rumble for several years and uploaded hundreds of videos. There's ads all over all of our videos, and we have yet to break the $50 barrier that you have to break for them to even pay you. So I may revisit that decision because I like at least having a backup for our YouTube channel, but we have a backup for our YouTube channel at Odyssey. So yeah, I just, and also the live streams stop appearing on our feed on Rumble. So until I fix that, I'm just not going to worry about Rumble. They're certainly not worrying about us. We've uploaded hundreds and hundreds of videos there, and we can't even make $50. So, you know, it is what it is. I just can't expend resources on a platform that doesn't even give me pennies for each video.
military had come up with a way for people to be psychic, where you tune in to coordinates that are just random numbers, but those coordinates are assigned by somebody else, not even the person
very
in the
good.
room
Good to
with
see you.
not
Sell
your trainer,
8 and 900.
but somebody else completely
900
apart assigns a location to these two numbers.
Yeah, that
Then you are given the numbers under
today.
hypnosis. You do this special technique that's a mind awake, body asleep. You get yourself into a deep trance. And then the thoughts that naturally arise in your mind, you write them down as data. And what they found was that if people were properly trained in this technique, Barbarella just sent me $20. That's pretty exciting. Thank you, Barbarella.
Yeah, he claims he got raped by
if you get trained in this
aliens.
technique, they claim reliably that people can get up to 99% accuracy.
Yeah, he did.
In describing a remote location.
420.
And so they would
Billy
often
Blunts.
send people to
Yeah.
a sewage treatment plant in Fort Meade, Maryland, as a joke, because
I
you're going to
agree,
smell
wildlife
sewage
rules.
and you're going to see gross things. And that was one of the things they would do to test people to see if your remote viewing really worked. Not a really fun thing to go look at. Pete Peterson, this insider, told me years later in 2009 that the remote viewing protocols were specifically designed because if you don't stop people from hearing the words in their minds when they do this and then writing those words down,
Yeah, I agree
then
with
what
you.
they start
Anna
getting
Louisa.
is Christian angels
He's suffering
talking
from
to them very
menopause.
reliably. The Christian angels show up. Christian angels, that's
Christian
BS. I
angels.
don't even believe in any of that stuff. So the answer is yes, there are Christian angels. They're out there. Daisy Alvin Fred says, what powers did we get with the eclipse? We're going to talk about that. There are ongoing shifts going on.
What
I've had
powers?
a profound shift.
People
I
want
have
to
been
get
clean
superpowers, right?
since this past weekend's conference.
Oh,
Woo!
yeah, he quit weed.
The worst day was 2 days ago. I was having a lot of withdrawals. I was using cannabis for PTSD, complex PTSD. I think I've mostly gotten through the complex PTSD now.
Yes.
And as a
they removed
result,
you from her.
I just don't want
The anal bleaching
either the up
ETs
of
did his
sativa
hair.
or the down of indica. Either one to me now is just like
We'll try a
too
hybrid,
intense.
David.
It makes me kind of bored. It makes me have sleep problems, anxiety, nervousness. And so
Hello,
for a
Tales of
while
the
when I
Sonic
was really
Voyage.
going through this stuff, it was very helpful, but I am
Greetings.
sober. And so that's really exciting. I've been sleeping a lot better. The circles under my eyes are going away already. It's
He's been off
really
weed
actually
for 7
very
whole
exciting.
days.
So thank you guys for all the congratulations. And
Yeah, great. This is gross, but I'm going to share it. Apparently, David Wilcock's herpes or acne problem is not limited to just his eye. Apparently, David Wilcock has lip herpes as well. Somebody sent me this. That's pretty gross. So apparently, the rumors about him having herpes are not without some basis. It's clearly some kind of skin. I don't know if it's herpes. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to diagnose him. But if you got pimples like that on your lips and under your eye, you probably should see a doctor. I would think. You know, I mean, I'm not an expert, but there is clearly some kind of lip herpes going on with David Wilcock. well, some kind of lip problem with some form of acne or herpes sores around his mouth and his eye, which is yeah, that's something. And again, I thank the person that shared this with me. It's definitely not isolated to his eye. So I don't know. People are asking me if he's got herpes. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I would tell him he better see one, because if you got that going on around your mouth, something's not right. Just my opinion. I don't know.
C-Dub says, we love you, David. I can't stand all you haters that have nothing better else to do. CPTSD is no joke. Yes, it is. Well, look, I had fun,
yes,
and I did it twice in my life. I did it from age 15 to 19, and then I did it from 2019 until about a week ago. I don't even know exactly what day we can count. I'll give you a little secret. On Friday night, I did use a little bit before I met my audience, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I don't want to be around people.
He just admitted that he's smoking pot right before a live performance. I don't know if there's anything wrong with that, but I guess you got to do some kind of drugs when you know you're going to be lying to people for hours at a time. We want to thank some kind and generous people. Al Warrior, who will thank him for two things: being a member, a longtime show supporter since the very beginning of our show, and a kind and generous $2 super chat. And Al Warrior says, the Forehead Chronicles, Grifting Agenda 101. Thank you for that, Al Warrior. And Legal Eagle says, his kids' PJs are the shroud of Wilcock. Oh, you guys are something else, but we thank you. We're only a few dollars away from getting our $20 back from the false copyright claims. But we thank you all for helping us to praise the cat.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, let's get back
people
to
at
this.
all when I'm on this stuff. It's just,
Thank you both.
I get
Al Warrior
nervous
and
and
Legal Eagle.
introspective and anxious, and I'm not really confident anymore. And I have anxiety, and I just don't need it. It's too much. So this is a really good thing. I didn't know if I was going to want to do it or not. And I also said to myself, you know what? It's not a big deal if I don't stop. If I have to keep going, that's fine, because this is a medically recognized and legal treatment for PTSD. Now, why would I have PTSD? We're going to go into that. Because in February of 2022,
maybe he was in some space battles.
Archangel Michael was the source that I had remote viewed in the 1990s. As I said, Pete Peterson was telling me that people have these visions in their minds of words, and the words can either be seen on paper as writing.
I agree.
Or sometimes you hear them. I've had both things, but
syphilis of
beginning
the
on November 10th,
eyes and lips.
1996,
Thanks, Corey.
I used the principles of remote viewing, which again, scientifically documented. There was publications about how to do this that have been leaked by the military. So I used the military zone 99% accurate method.
Yes.
But I jumped right over the idea of a physical location, and I did what you're not supposed to do, which is to listen to these voices. And it's very difficult to get these. It's not like it's easy. You have to really focus and concentrate, very deep meditation. It's an incredible consciousness discipline involved in getting this done. And right from the first day, it started predicting the future, and it clearly identified itself from the very first day as Christian,
like 90% of people has
best
herpes
prophecy
virus.
on November 10th, 1996, was that it said one of our women, Teresa.
But he uses P for bottle.
Our women, Teresa. It was talking about Mother Teresa, but who's our? Right? Is that angels? That's what it seemed like. One of our women, Teresa, a sibling. Oh, sibling, like a brother and sister. Who gives you brothers and sisters? Your mother, Mother Teresa, the sibling. Right? It's a code. One of our women, Teresa, a sibling, inoperative. And then to make it even more obvious, they said the Christian psychically. Well, then about a few days, less than a week later, something like that, I forget exactly how many days, Mother Teresa has a heart attack. And that was very, very provocative. And then when she died a year later, it was within just 1 or 2 days of when Princess Diana died. And so we had Princess Mother, a feminine archetypal passage of these two beloved female leaders who both disappeared from the planet at the same time.
First BBC.
And
Jesus,
so
why
this was a
fools?
prophecy that happened on the very first day
Don't share the meth
that
pipe.
I did these readings, and it absolutely was
Don't
stunning.
share any meth pipe.
So,
you can get herpes.
For me to see this
Maybe he got
and then
space
realize,
herpes.
wow, how
Remember
did they
that
predict
from
the
Ice
future?
Pirates,
And who's they?
space herpes?
Who am I talking to?
He was on a secret
Why are
mission
they saying our
in
women,
space with Corey
Teresa?
Goodman. He got
You know,
space
what's going
herpes.
on here? Well, this was just the beginning of a
God,
fascinating
man.
adventure. I wasn't really interested at all in Christianity. I had been reading the
No,
Law
Mother
of One
Teresa was a woman.
since early 1996, and this was what tuned me
Homosexual
to
grifter.
be able to get my own contact. When you become aware of sacred materials,
PTSD
it
from the
becomes
banana
easier
sandwich.
to
Tales of
tune
Sonic
into what
Voyage. Welcome.
that
Thanks for being
voice
a member.
is, and you can
God
have
gave
that
him
voice live in
PTSD,
your heart
yeah.
and in your mind. In other words, these spiritual teachings are not just meant to entertain you. It's not just supposed to be new information so that it feeds your curiosity and your ego. When you get these angelic beings and they're the real thing, what happens is they want to tell you stuff about your soul. They want to tell you about soul growth. They want to tell you about your personal development. They're very
Yes, you're
interested
right.
in what you're going to do in terms of
Genital
how you
herpes,
think about
yeah.
yourself and how you think about other people.
We
And
should be told.
again,
we definitely,
as I've
we
always
need-
said, it all comes back to
Well,
love.
Has herpes.
The
We
message is
definitely-
always consistent. The message is to be
You're gonna
more
catch
loving, more
something.
accepting, more forgiving, and more
So many
compassionate.
banana sandwiches.
So yes, we have a constant cavalcade of negativity in the comments. Live streaming is kind of a weird, crazy thing, right? Because
Could be Amy Collins. Yeah.
if you watch this show and you're also trying to read the comments at the same time, there's so many of them, and some
Subconscious
people
guilt
are
from
just
scamming
incredibly
people
rude,
can cause
incredibly
PTSD.
disrespectful. And they always accuse me of two things. They say, "Oh my God, David has an ego," and "Oh my God, David is making money." Well,
Yeah, and let me just stop him for a minute here. Nobody has any, I don't know any individual that has any problem with somebody making money. But when you're making money scamming people, telling them that you're talking to fucking angels, then you're a piece of shit, David Wilcock. That's why people have a problem with you making money, because you're lying and scamming people like a scuzzball, bottom-feeding grifter. And you're scamming, you know who his fan base is. It's all old ladies. It's all old crystal hippie bitches, right? That's who he's scamming, old ladies. So imagine your grandmother sending David Wilcock $333. Would you be pissed off if your grandmom got scammed out of $333? That's why people are pissed at you and complain about you making money, because you're scamming old grandmoms, David Wilcock.
if you don't have an ego, then it turns out people will overthrow you. So there is a fine line between confidence and pride.
Yeah, I think he kind of is.
And I think that my confidence
he's
is often
using
mistaken for
Christianity
pride,
to scam people.
but I believe
Remember,
that in many,
Ursula,
many
he's
ways
talking
I've
to
shown
the
myself
Archangel
to
Michael.
be ego-less.
And by the way,
Because-
Ursula is interesting. She runs Ursula Bielski's World of the Supernatural. Feel free to go over there and check out her videos. I meant to reach back out to you, Ursula, to have you be a guest maybe next week if you have time. Because, Ursula, we've been talking about the biblical test of a prophet. So David Wilcock claims that he's getting these prophetic channelings from the Archangel Michael. But in some of the channelings, the information is 100% provably wrong. And I'm sure you're aware, Ms. Bielski, of the biblical test of a prophet. If a prophet is wrong even one time, they are not in communication with angelic, or, they're not in communication with God or God's angels, because God and God's angels wouldn't give false information to a real prophet of theirs. So he's claiming to be a prophet. He fails the test of a prophet over and over and over again. He's run out of new age scams to run. So he weaved the Archangel Michael into his latest scam. And I'll contact you off air, Ms. Bielski.
Because I have done so much work that was free and just cranked it out there and put it out there, and I've really monetized very little.
He's
There
monetized
are many,
everything.
many things I could
All
do
of his videos are
that would make
monetized.
me money that I haven't done. And the main reason why is that people get upset when they have to pay for something, and it excludes some people, and I don't really like that. So I've always strived to have as much of my material be free as possible.
He got
so
herpes
that
off the
everybody
whistle.
can
They all
access
think
it.
they're
And as I
blowing.
hopefully get my company financed, it looks very good now.
The company
We
will
have
never be financed.
3 deals that are extremely
You
close. So
ever
I would
notice
imagine by
this
the end
too?
of May.
Every stream he talks about big deals coming in. It's kind of like Corey Good used to be like, oh, big things are happening. I'm getting all these big Hollywood deals, and then they never happen. Every time WILCOCK streams, he's talking about his shady aerospace company, which has been called an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme, getting funding and getting big deals. Who's doing business with a company that's never produced a single product in decades of being in business, that is being sued by all their creditors for not paying their bills, and being sued by investors who claim that they're a Ponzi scheme and an investment scam? What person is going to do business with that company? Nobody. I predict the company will never be successful, never produce a single product.
That I will be capitalized. Thank God. I can't even tell you, because this has been crazy.
Now I was going to talk about how broke
people were
been.
donating money to me at
Listen
this
to
event.
this.
It was really great. One couple gave me like $1,500 in an envelope. I had a couple other
I wonder if he's
donations
gonna
that were
pay
almost
taxes
that
on
big
that.
as well. So I came out with like almost $4,000 in donations.
He got $4,000 in donations. What are people donating to him for? You're not a nonprofit, or are you still? People are donating thousands of dollars to you so that you can live in a multi-million-dollar mansion and not pay your taxes. This man is the laziest scumbag that I have. We've investigated an awful lot of these new age scumbags, and in my opinion, David WILCOCK is the scummiest scumbag in UFO land. He really is a scumball. Like I just. And I'm sorry, it bothers me when I hear people are dumb enough to give him $4,000 so that he can live a millionaire's lifestyle and still not pay his taxes, right? Kind of like that nonprofit he ran where he collected, what was it, $200,000, and then he spent it all on himself. Remember that? $4,000, meals and entertainment. Remember that? Yeah, great. Give him some more money, you idiots.
Of cash from this event, which was just stunning. So thank you guys, everybody who did that. That was very, very amazing. And it really did help me out a lot. I actually was able to get
he bought a new
replacement for my refrigerator. So finally, on Friday, I'm having a new replacement refrigerator. It's not one of the highest high-end ones, but it is suitable. It's 42 inches wide, 7 feet tall. Oh, thank God. I can't wait, because as you heard me talk about before, the sound of my refrigerator drives me out of my mind. It's very loud. And I found out, yeah, it's a 25-year-old Sub-Zero fridge. They have very large compressors, and as they get older and older, there's corrosion inside the pipes, and that makes them vibrate, which creates a lot more noise.
Talk about first world problems. Oh my God, my refrigerator is so noisy that it's the worst thing in my life. Like, people are starving to death. Do you realize that, David WILCOCK? There's an opioid epidemic across the entire United States. People are dropping dead from fentanyl. There's wars going on, and you're on a public live stream crying because your refrigerator is too loud. Gotta love it. And stupid people gave him $4,000. So thank God I could buy a new refrigerator.
So this sound has been driving me out of my mind. If you've been hearing what I've been saying, I have to spend most of my time in this house with earplugs and Bose headphones on. The noise is so loud it cuts through the wall of my bedroom. I even hear it in my bedroom with the door closed. That's how bad it is.
Oh, it's so terrible.
So anyway, things are turning around. I'm feeling a lot better. And obviously, if I'm getting sober, that means that I'm really starting to feel much better, because now I'm just happy with my life and I don't need any medication to try to feel better. And again, everything I've done is legal.
It might need some
Colorado is a great place to be interested in this stuff, but not for me anymore. I really do feel I've reached a critical tipping point here. My mind is clearer. I'm sleeping much better, and my eyes are clearing up. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's have a few more comments here. Tarot Tarotina says, good. Philip Maxwell Astrology says, ego is a double-edged sword. You need, but the issue is when it thinks that this is what the whole experience is about. I totally agree. Where we're going, we don't need refrigerators. That's
Remember when he said, I don't need medication. He might need herpes medication, though. I don't know. I think he should see a doctor.
Awesome. I'm like, why can't somebody make a silent refrigerator? Maybe we'll do that. Can't wait to see your free energy power plant for the world. Well, yeah, we have some very exciting stuff going on. There is a guy who is probably going to be capitalizing our company.
Some medicated cream.
And I'll be probably keeping this mostly quiet about who it is and what's going on. Somebody says, we need to get David to President Trump's financial level. That will really anger the haters, LOL. That could happen. Honestly, that could
Yeah,
happen.
right.
But I want to say that my focus, if it does, is going to be to
Oh
reinvest
yeah, he's going to be as rich
the money
as
that I
Trump.
have as much as I can into things like anti-gravity and free energy. And this is real. I mean,
missions.
our company is going to help to get this technology out there.
No, you're not.
But at the
David
same time,
Wilcock.
of course, I'm taking huge risks. We may have
Could
had
be.
some type of weird directed energy attack on this event because I
Listen
could
to
not
this.
sleep.
There was a directed energy weapon attack on the event I was at because I couldn't sleep. What a bunch of bullshit.
It all on Friday night. I laid there in bed from midnight to 7 a.m. Never slept a wink. I only
agree,
slept
Chuck, man.
4 hours the next night from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Because you couldn't
That
sleep,
was
there
it.
was a
So by
directed energy
Sunday
weapon
night,
attack.
we got the heck out of there. We came back here, and then I slept like a baby. And this, that was another thing. 2 nights
You're in Kush.
of sleeplessness was another thing that really kind of helped me
Yeah,
say,
if you
I'm
need a
just done
dumpster,
with
Wilcox knows a guy.
using anything. If this had anything to do with the medication, then let's just get rid of it because I want to sleep.
Too much coke,
I've had
bro.
so many times with this medication where I'm lying there in bed
Yep.
and I just can't sleep at all. It's horrible.
Yeah, I'm kind of sensitive to sounds
Ruben
too. Maybe I'm on the
Nablondian,
spectrum. Who
$20.
knows?
Thank you very much. Weed acts like a tinfoil hat without the tinfoil, says Josh Kensmo. Well, I don't know. I mean,
those are
it
in a
was
big
good for me. I
freezer in
don't
his
want to put
garage.
too much shame on it. I think there's a lot of
AWE.
hatred around it, but there are really, really miraculous healings that people have had from PTSD.
No,
and
you
eating
cannot believe
disorders
this
and all
guy.
kinds of things.
It hurts. You definitely can't believe this guy.
It didn't really do wonders for me. I
Everybody
mean,
say-
I've been here
everybody in the
alone
live
for
chat
3
is saying he
years,
did too
no
much coke.
friends, and I was able to make that work. 8 months of winter a year, lots of snow, lots of wind. Somehow I've made this
Hated
happen.
the art dumpsters. Yes.
Definitely, once I get all
Real
my
Lake
debts
Forest
paid,
dump.
I definitely want to have a place to go in the winter. That's another thing I'm thinking about is where am I going to live now in the winter? Because I don't want to get stuck here again. It is rough. After I had
Yeah, I was
that
gonna
7-day
cry.
blackout and after I had the 5 feet of
And by the way, somebody sent me a real estate listing for his home. He has heated floors. That's how luxurious his multi-million-dollar mansion is. But if you listen to him on his public live streams, he acts like he could barely survive the winter in that multi-million-dollar log cabin mansion house. He has heated floors. The floors even are heated.
snow, both within like a week and a half of each other, I'm just done. David, your inner harmonics are amazing, says Fraser Ray,
Yeah,
a
could
shattered
be.
spirit, shattered soul. I'm sorry that your soul is shattered.
Now he can stop crying.
What do you
his
think about the
refrigerator.
Malaysia
Yeah.
information info coming out showing it was warped? Dominic Lafata. Yeah, that's a good one. I talked about that in the movie Moment of Truth, and you do see this leaked video from 2
Oh
sources.
my
of
God,
this
he's talking
weird
about
energy around
MH370, you
Flight 370,
dumbass.
and then it all of a sudden disappears.
It's
I was
a
talking about
fake
that back in
video, you
2009.
asshole. See our video
as
from
the
yesterday, you
whole
dumbass.
Idea of masking. That was one of the things Pete Peterson told me. You can
He's
create a
pushing the
gravitational bottle
MH370 fake
around
videos,
a flying
this
object and
dumbass.
cause it to be
Yeah, he's a
not
targeted
visible.
individual.
So Fox
People are
Lady just
shooting energy
donated
weapons
$30.
at him.
David, please introduce the guitar behind you. Just a few words about it. It is a beauty. Okay, well, we can do that.
He's
This
Uber
is.
grifting to pay off his IRS debt.
It won't take but a second.
Apparently, yes.
So I got this at a rare guitar shop. This is a Fender Stratocaster,
It's a,
and it was a rare edition
Vanilla
because they made it
Strat.
with blue sparkles.
they make them in
So
any
I
color.
actually do play guitar. I'm just a little shy, and I haven't quite gotten to the point of wanting to come out with this yet. But mostly what I do is finger
Gravitational
style. I'm
bubble.
not really more of a lead
Bubble,
player yet.
yeah.
Lead and finger style are very, very different arts. So let me get
I've
my
never heard
light
of
back
finger
on there.
style guitar.
Let me
I've
get
heard
this
of
all
rhythm
set up again. I
guitar
don't wanna
and
look
lead
at it, though.
guitar players, but
So yes, I have some cool guitars. I'm glad you guys like my guitar.
it's like a
I bought it at
$400 guitar.
Norm's Rare Guitars in
cares?
Los Angeles, and it was a great purchase.
And Fender Strats are for
And
pussies.
let's see if I can get this light.
Real
to stay.
men play
It's
Gibsons.
all kind of Mickey Mouse here, folks.
Fender
but,
Strats
hey,
are
what the
for
hell.
pussies. There, I said it.
All right,
Only
now I got the light on there. It
pussies
makes
and
it look
women
more cool.
play Fender Strats.
India, man, it's
Sorry.
hot in winter
I'm a Gibson
and hot
guy.
in summer. Okay, well,
Don't
yeah,
pick up a
maybe I should go to
Gibson
India.
studio. It's like 5 times
Every
the
time you go to
weight
an Indian
of a
restaurant,
Strat.
they tell you got to move to India. That's one of the funny things that happens. to me.
Rare shop.
But anyway,
Guitar
back to
Center,
the
yes.
story. So
What a
it
loser.
was back in 2022 that I found out that in 1983 that none other than Ghislaine Maxwell was working at Disney World. When I saw that article, it blew my mind because I visited Disney World
Maybe
with my
he did.
family in
He's dumb enough
1984,
to pay
and
like
we
lots
were
of money for a
meeting with
guitar
all the
in a
higher ups. And I'm going
rare
to show you
shop instead of
absolute
just going to
scientific
Guitar
proof
Center
that I'm
and getting
not lying
virtually the
about
same
that in
guitar
today's
for
show.
300
There's a lot of
bucks.
things in today's show that are very interesting and contentious.
Good night,
So
John Boy. Yes.
when all this stuff
There you
started to
go,
come out
William
for me,
Roder. Then you're a man.
I
Gibson Les
was
Paul's
getting
the way
these
to go.
messages from Michael, and then I began to realize, oh my God, it's not just like
I think he's a big Bon
prophetic
Jovi
of,
fan.
of one
And
thing
Winger.
in
Remember Beavis
1996.
Butthead, that kid that
The
like
whole
fingered his-
entire series of Michael readings that I did, this is Archangel Michael. The source eventually said that's who it was in 99. I wasn't too excited about that. I wasn't looking for a Christian contact.
Yeah, and by the way, a Christian angel would not masquerade as somebody else. I've asked several ministers and a priest. They all agree with me. A Christian angel would not appear to somebody and pretend to be something else. You know what would do that? A demonic entity would pretend to be something they're not. Demonic entities also pretend to be angels at times.
I wasn't out there trying to draw in Christianity in any way. My family in general was pretty ambivalent about it. And so I'm like, it wasn't a big thing on my bucket list to go try to make contact telepathically with Christian angels. I had no idea this was going to happen. So what ended up occurring is that they told me that I had something called a parallel life. So in this show, we're going to give scientific evidence of this parallel life abuse trauma that I went through because, yes, it was abusive. And it had to do with the Disney World. It appears that they were looking for gifted children. I was in a gifted children's program, ironically enough, called Pyramid. And that meant that half the day, every day in school, from first grade all the way up through sixth grade.
There's nothing special.
I spent half of my day in a private room with like 6 other kids alone. And if now, as I'm thinking about it, if they were using hypnosis and they could, cause us to have missing time, how would I even know? How would I even recognize that time had gone by or what these people were doing? But again, that's the type of access that might have indicated that there was something more nefarious going on. And what is now turned into is that I have scientific evidence. Archangel Michael is using this prophecy to tell me that I had a parallel life where I was taken in spaceships that had crashed here and had been captured by the deep state or DS, and that they then were apparently working through General Electric. We had the General Electric main plant right across the street from me in Schenectady, so it was only 10 minutes driving away. There's this massive factory. At the time, it was the largest factory in the world. Back in the 70s, 60s, 50s, it was the largest factory on Earth. And it appears that they had some secret hangars in there where they had these spaceships that they had either crashed here or they reverse engineered them.
Trolley.
And they were able to take people like me and bring them out in the middle of the night and then bring them back. And you get brought back to the moment you left because this is a time machine. And so this is a very strange thing because I'm getting this type of information while also getting incredibly accurate prophecies about things like 9/11, about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump.
You ever notice that he says he's getting all these incredibly accurate prophecies? Why didn't he call the people that run the 9/11 building and let them know that that tragedy was going to occur before it happened, right? He got a prophetic vision of 9/11, but he just didn't say anything and let all those people die. Some fucking prophet. What a scammer.
The document scandals that both Biden and Trump have been going through, the Afghanistan withdrawal, the Chinese balloon scare, the Israeli war, all of the things that have been happening in our world were being written in these books in the 1990s as I'm unsealing them. So it took me 2 years to put these books together. I started doing it in really September of 2021. I got very involved by February of 2022, and I didn't even have the first book done out until December 2022. That was Michael Prophecy's book 1. Then I had another one come out, I believe I don't think it was until March. That was book 2, or no, maybe it was, so book 2 was March of 2023. Then book 3 came out, I think, in May 2023. And then I did 4, 5, 6, and 7 all between
Prophecies
June
never
and
happen. Science evidence.
October of
Never.
2023. So I worked
Nothing
my
he
butt off.
ever predicts
I
happen.
didn't have time to do anything. The prophecies were so amazing. I put them in red, and I have 7 books that are all about 500 pages each, roughly speaking. So 3,500 pages. I mean, this is an incredible amount of material. And
Incredible
it's
amount
all
of bullshit.
prophetic. Every single one of the 7 books is prophetic. And now, as
He
I
talked
said,
about that. Yeah, one of
I've
his books
slashed
is
the
about
price. You
being
have to
bullied.
order the books only option. It's at thedisclosure.com.
Here's the
And
pitch.
then put in the code
Buy my
Revelation.
shit.
Just that
Buy
word,
my bullshit. It's discount
REVELATION.
bullshit now.
And then you'll get them for only $70. And that's really going to help me out until we get this deal. Because again, I've just barely had enough money to get by now. And, you know, that's it's a funny thing when you start working with Christian angels, how they want you to be in poverty and they want you to meditate and they want you to be celibate and all this kind of, well, that's what I was doing. I mean, I've done what you're supposed to do, the classic meditation gambit, right?
Yeah,
It's
and now
you
he
live
wants
up in
to
the
cash
mountains,
in.
you're alone, you're in a temple, you have no money, you have no social interaction.
Listen to himself comparing himself to like a mountain prophet. He lives in a multi-million-dollar mansion in the Colorado mountains with heated floors and, you know, 2 months worth of bison ribeye, organic steaks, grass-fed bison organic steaks in his freezer. And here he's complaining that he was so poor while living in a multi-million-dollar mansion. The ego on this guy and his ability to just lie through his fake teeth so easily is astounding to me.
And you just meditate. And that's what I've been doing for 3 years. And most of the time I was working on these books. So the whole thing was so shocking because they're predicting the future with such stunning accuracy, and at the same, Archangel
It is
Michael,
expensive, yes.
they're predicting the future with such stunning accuracy, and at the same time, they're telling me that I had this weird parallel lifetime. That
You ever notice he keeps saying that this source is predicting the future with stunning accuracy, yet he has yet to provide a single example of that. And any proof that he wrote the prophecy before a thing happened. It's always some connect the dots thing. You got to involve numerology and, you know, bob and weave to make this seem like it's a prophetic, you know, prediction that came true. If he was really in contact with angels that were predicting the future, wouldn't he be able to point to some specific easy examples to prove his claims? But he never does. He never does. Just buy my shit.
it had abuse in it. And I want to show you those excerpts today because what has happened is
Could be soil
that
out
I
there
have now
900
become
AD.
the insider as well as the investigator. In other words, when we're looking at all these classic
Now he's
UFO
his own
cases,
insider.
cases that are the best always have to do with documents. How many documents do we have?
Yes,
How much
he's
documentation?
barely surviving.
And in my case,
That's his pegging
I have a
face.
stunning amount of documentation that proves, or at least strongly suggests, that the stuff that Michael told me about having these abusive parallel lifetimes was true. That there apparently, let's go back a little bit. It was in September of 2021
Yes, I
that
agree.
my
William
Area
King.
51 insider, Chris Beskar, who's also the CEO of Stavati Aerospace, told me.
Now he's claiming that Christopher Beskar worked at Area 51. You do realize, you dumbass, that if you can't prove these claims and you're telling people for $400 that your CEO worked at Area 51 and built 3,500 spaceships, that's a form of consumer fraud? I would think it would be. You're telling people this is true and accurate information. And then you're telling people that he worked at Area 51 and built 3,500 spaceships, and people have to pay $400 to hear this information from him. To me, and it's just my opinion, that is pure consumer fraud.
That there are
Unless you
very
can prove
evil
those claims.
extraterrestrials here, like reptilians and greys, and that those are essentially satanic. That the whole idea of what we're seeing
I
in the
agree,
Bible
Amy
is
Collins.
way
Very
more
expensive there,
accurate
yeah.
than we thought.
High cost of living
And
there.
so
in
there's a whole
Colorado.
question that we have to go through now of understanding the light and the darkness. And after he starts telling me this stuff, I started to realize the Bible is far more accurate
Now
than
he's
we
gonna
would
put the
imagine. That
Bible
the
into his
traditional
grips.
ideas that people have about Satan and demons and hell, Up until this
Yeah,
Michael
I
stuff
agree,
happened, I
Cleverly.
totally
Yeah.
wrote that stuff off. Go back and watch my old videos.
RoboCop.
Satan, I don't know. Hell, no, that's not true. It's just a construct. It's just a fantasy. It's not real.
Yeah,
In
if
fact, I
you're making
remember
money, you
looking at
shouldn't
the
be broke and
Quran
begging for more
and
money.
thinking that because the Quran mentioned hell, that it must have been a less accurate transmission. I didn't really want to go public with that because it would make people mad. But now, oh, wait a minute. Okay, there absolutely is a hell. And then
Chuck
it
Man with
turns
the
out
Q
it's all in the law
nonsense.
of one. So
It's hard nonsense.
one of the
alert.
principles of the law of one is that there are negative extraterrestrials
He is.
that
He's an
are
expert.
ruled by something they call the fifth density negative companion. And in fifth density, you have a being that's energy, but it can project itself into human form. So these human ETs are actually fifth density
He's an expert
beings
on hell.
that have energy as their natural form. But if they want to, with a fairly difficult mental configuration, as they call it, they can project
law
into
of
human
dumb.
bodies. Well, so can
You're
evil.
right, Stormcrow. It's the law
One
of
of the
dumb.
things that we just learned about last weekend from Chris Beskar, he'd mentioned it a couple times and I just laughed at him. He said, yeah, there's something in Antarctica that's called Lucifer's Palace. There's actually
Now
this
we're going to hear
palace
about
in Antarctica.
Lucifer's
It's
Palace in Antarctica.
much more ornate and fantastic than any building on Earth.
Somebody's been
dwarfs
watching
even
Linda
things
Moulton
like
Howe.
Taj Mahal or anything you can imagine.
Yeah,
The
you would think
architecture
the
is
angel would help
absolutely
him.
stunning,
Well, the
incredibly
angel is
ornate.
helping him. He's
So
giving
that
him
when you
fake
go in there, you
prophecies
would
to
be
sell
led
to
to
stupid
believe
people
this is the ruler of the
for
world.
$300.
And apparently, people go in there and they see an entity manifest in human form. It can look any way that it wants, but it usually comes out looking like an attractive male. And this is apparently a projection of Lucifer as the fifth density negative companion. So the law of one has some very strange stuff, as I've been going over week after week here,
Yes, human
where it
ETs.
says that we are, in
Absolutely
fact,
infamous. Human ETs.
all being led by negative ETs who then infiltrated the elite.
Dumber than a sack of bricks.
They want to create
I
people
say
who
he's
have
dumb as
lots of
rocks.
money. They want to create people who have lots of
Sack of
power.
bricks, same thing.
And they have
Guy's
an
dumb as
inside
shit.
network where you have to do this.
Claims to be
Now,
smarter than Einstein.
this
though.
is where it gets really bizarre. If it isn't bizarre enough
Attractive
already,
male.
you have negative
Yeah.
extraterrestrials,
David
and they
Wilcock
are not
got
allowed by
excited.
universal law to actually
Attractive
appear
male.
in our skies in person unless they have a sufficient calling, which thankfully we haven't given them. But they work behind the scenes where they will make direct contact with people who want to be negative on Earth. There's two components
Stormcrow says,
to this extraterrestrial
Linda Moulton
evil.
Howe whacked
There
Wilcock
is
with the crazy
extraterrestrial,
show.
and then there is demonic. And extraterrestrials and demons are two completely different things. Extraterrestrials have
Pink
flesh
shirt
bodies
waitress,
all the
yes.
time. Demons only have a quasi-flesh-like body
next door to
when
Atlantis
they are
or
invoked by
Shambhala,
humans
fuck's
in a
sake.
special ceremony.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It has to be done exactly a certain way.
And by the
Talk
way,
about this
listen, anybody that makes any claims about Antarctica, especially when they say they know where something is, like an alien base or a pyramid or any of that, there are tour companies that will take you anywhere you want to go in Australia, or excuse me, in Antarctica. So if you really knew where a Lucifer's Palace in Antarctica was, wouldn't you go there and film it and make millions and billions of dollars telling that story? No, just take YouTube super chats and bullshit people and never provide any evidence. It's so stupid. It's just like Linda Moulton Howe's grift of all the Antarctica claims. She never proved any of it.
But if you do this a certain way, you will apparently see them.
Sounds like a cool nightclub.
And
Yeah,
so
Lucifer's
one of the
Palace.
things that Chris told me in this big
that is a good name
disclosure
for a night.
was there is no space without Satan. All of the stuff that we were doing as humans in these classified projects that involves going into space involves direct collaboration
in the
with
fifth plane.
reptilians, insectoids, and greys. This is just as common and everyday in that world as dogs
ET
and
bumps
cats
on
are
his
here.
lips. Gross.
And then what's even stranger than that is that there is this non-physical reality as well. And the law of one calls this time space. So in time space, what we have is the heavenly worlds and
Yes,
the
Wacky
hellish
David,
worlds.
Foxy's friends.
And
Welcome.
they exist in sort of a thought form capacity. They're not as real as space-time, but the law of one calls it time-space. It gets really deep in the weeds here. I'll just give you a brief little thing. It says that space and time invert. And so the 3 dimensions of space become 3 dimensions of time. So when you move around in time-space physically, you're actually moving in time.
How is that even
If you were to pop
possible?
over into time space, which these ships can do, these UFOs, then guess what? You're time traveling. All you have to do is negate your own gravity. Gravity is what powers time.
What's
So
up,
it turns
Daisy
out
B?
that
Good
when
to
you
see you
shut off
here.
gravity, you also shut off time. And I'm going to show you some very, very interesting stuff about that.
He
Catherine
does.
Swees donated $20. Thank you. She says, grateful for your science shares, your authentic and caring sharing with us. All the best. I hope you keep your buns warm this winter, restoring our grateful presence, intelligent, caring presence here on Earth. Thank you, Catherine. I really appreciate that. So again, the concept is that there are these thought form worlds. They are, as I said in the last show, organized into 7 layers. So
Manscaped and Buckleach. Lucifer's waiting.
Hell, that's all apparently
Bring
true.
condoms. So Annie
We
Kurtz,
talked about
thanks for being a
Hitler
member.
being kept in one of these layers after his death, in what Law of One, colloquially
I
calls a
can't
healing
disagree
process.
with you, William Runner.
This
He
type
is
of
full
healing
BS.
might not be very fun. So when I start to put this all together, you find out that these extraterrestrials
Okay.
are facilitators for getting
should move to
negative
South Park,
demonic entities
Colorado.
into
Yes.
our reality. And in 1917, Aleister Crowley was contacted by
again with the
a
lamb. Come
weird
on.
extraterrestrial gray being. It looks just like a gray. They called itself Lam. And before that, it was contacted by Iwas. We talked about how
I agree,
whatever the
but
120
he
year
likes
anniversary
expensive
of that
shit, so he
contact
probably did buy a
in
$4,000
1904 was
refrigerator.
celebrated on the solar eclipse by
Yes, that's
the
definitely
deep state,
time travel.
where according to Shadow of Ezra,
8
this
and
is a
back.
channel that's very,
8
very
hours and back.
important on Telegram
Infamous.
and Twitter. This was something that they tried to do. They're trying to apparently summon this being again. And there was some pretty compelling stuff there if you go back and watch that show. So anyway, it appears that Greys showed up to Aleister Crowley and taught him how to properly summon demons. And that everybody got really excited about this in this dark world, because now if they do this ceremony, they get this magic trick. And you see this creature, and it actually looks you in the eye. It can't talk with its mouth. It can only make horrible screeching and terrible sounds. It can't talk, but it will talk telepathically. So you might have one person in the group who's communicating telepathically on behalf of this being while it's standing there. And apparently this type of telepathic communication is very unpleasant and very bad. It's not like angelic communication at all. You don't feel good while it's happening. The being does not treat you very well. It can often feel
Crowley
very
can't summon.
intense,
It wasn't
painful
very effective.
experience as you're going through this. So why in the world would they want to summon demons? Why in the world would anybody want to do this? Well, there's two opposite poles in the universe. There's good and evil. And if you think that the full extent of evil on Earth
like in
is
smoke detectors,
manifested in Donald Trump, and which is what the media has been trying to tell us ever since he began running in 2015.
Yes, I agree. The Watcher.
You've really missed the plot.
Well,
It's
thanks
9
for
years
answering
now.
the-
The same
asking the
story. Oh my
question.
God, he's so evil. Oh my God,
He's a
but why?
pussy. He
What
can't.
happened?
He can't
What
withstand
happened?
real questions. The
Is he
Watcher.
summoning demons? No. Is he doing bloodletting rituals? No. Okay, so there's worse stuff that can happen. All right.
Oh, that's interesting.
He's probably
Legal
not
Eagle.
perfect. There's probably
You should
things that
message
have
me.
happened that
I'd
upset
like to
you.
hear
I
more
get
about
that.
that.
You know, it's a weird and interesting situation. However,
I think it's a little bit of both.
there is
basically.
a
he's delusional
reality
and it's a
to
grift.
the fact that there's an industrial complex. There's this media, pharma, industrial complex that's very real, and we've seen it manifest. And Michael's ultimate message when I started to do these Michael
there's always a
prophecies
little
back
bit of
in,
truth, even in a big
1996
fake story. Billy Hicks.
is when they began, and then it was all meant to be unsealed starting in
But
2022.
remember, too,
Took me 2
I
years.
just want to take a moment to address the Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley claimed that he summoned this alien-looking creature. There's no proof of that. It's just a claim of a lifelong occultist who was himself a grifter. And by the way, Aleister Crowley died penniless and broke. So there's that. It's just a claim that he made. So I guess WILCOCK is right when he repeats claims that the Aleister Crowley has made, but there's no proof that he summoned an interdimensional creature or alien or demon or whatever. It's just the word of an occultist and lifelong grifter like WILCOCK.
To go through all this stuff every day. That's all I did is work on these books. It was crazy. So when we get into this stuff about the negative, I want to let you know right off the bat, this is definitely not for children. or for people who are depressed. If you have been through this type of trauma,
I'm getting depressed just listening to
you might
this
not
asshole.
want to see all this.
I'm about
because I'm gonna show you some artwork
I'm getting
that
depressed
indicates
having to
that I
listen to you,
probably
you
experienced
asshole.
things myself. I'm going to try to keep it as non-traumatic as possible, but we're talking about the idea that UFOs
You're
that
right,
were owned
Lucy.
by
Yeah.
the people running General Electric and Disney World, you know, they reverse engineered them. They had the time travel capability, probably were piloted by
Yeah,
Greys
you need two
because
separate
humans
engines
don't like the
and
time travel
all
at
kinds
all.
of things to make
So
a
I was
space
getting
plane.
picked up. You read my book, Ascension Mysteries. I talk about all these cases over and over again where I was sleepwalking in the house.
Yeah.
And I had all these dreams about cigar-shaped UFOs picking me up in my backyard.
Yeah.
Well, that might not all be dreams after all. So it's a very interesting story. And I wanted to open up before we get too dark by talking about something that has totally blown my mind. I mean, I am literally in a
God.
state of shock after I
Bringing
read
in
this
Christian
morning. This just happened.
mysticism.
Virgin Mary at Garabandal. Okay, and it's precisely identical
He is
to the Michael
definitely the same as a
prophecies in its
snake oil
message.
salesman. Absolutely.
So here's what I just found
Modern
this
day
morning,
snake
and I
oil
was blown
salesman.
away. The Garabandal apparitions are apparitions of Saint Michael the Archangel and the Blessed Virgin Mary that are claimed to have occurred from 1961 to 65 to 4 young schoolgirls in the rural village of San Sebastian de Garabandal in the Pina Sagra mountain range in the autonomous community of Cantabria in northern Spain. So right there, I mean, when this lady Jimena came up to me and told me about this, I didn't even know that Archangel Michael was included, but he's a major part of these visions. And
It's nice that the hotel staff is giving him new stories to grift off of. It's too bad, though, that he's involving Christian mysticism. And by the way, I've occasionally gotten a lot of flack for being a Christian. I was raised Christian. I don't believe in a great many of the Christian mysticism stories, including levitating saints or incorruptible bodies. We did shows here busting those things as fake. So, you know, great though that he's using Christian mysticism to scam old ladies instead of, you know, the Egyptian god Ra and ancient aliens bullshit.
again, the books that I just
He's
was
run
given,
out of
and
bullshit.
I had to spend 2 years assembling them and unsealing the prophecies. They're authored by Archangel Michael. I didn't even realize that there was a Mary
fair enough,
apparition
Billy
that
Hicks. I
involved
agree.
Archangel Michael, but here it is. And there was strange stuff happening with these children. They manifested things in their mouth like communion. I guess it was some type of artwork or something that came out. Very weird stuff like that was going on. And it also ties back to that Old
I
Testament
agree.
thing where the angel tells whoever the visionary was that he had to eat the scroll and it'll taste like honey. So that was interestingly connected to that.
But
what really blew me away
it'll be hot all the
is
time where
what did
Wilcock
the
is
Virgin
ending up.
Mary and
Yeah.
Archangel Michael
He won't have to
say
worry about being cold.
at Garabandal. Oh, another thing is that the children
Burn
were
in
doing
hell.
weird stuff. They were leaning down on sharp rocks and not getting cut or bleeding or having any pain. There was a lot of weird miracle type of stuff going on. I've just started to crack this because I only read it this morning. But what I saw was so amazing because, again, Michael's message in these Archangel Michael books that came through me, the Michael prophecies, is telling us that there's going to be a solar event that is not catastrophic.
Oh God, he just
And
keeps
it's mirrored
repeating
in
himself
the Bible, it's
over
mirrored
and
in the
over and
Quran,
over
it's
again.
mirrored in, as I said in the last show, Hindu prophecy, which would be
Come up with
the
some new
Subnautica fire.
scam. Come on,
Zoroastrian
Same
prophecy calls it the,
scammy shit
Frasho
for every
Peretti.
stream.
It's all over the place. And
We
the
could
idea
go to
is
the stream from 3 weeks
there's
ago.
some
It's all
type
the
of
same shit. He threw in
energetic
this
change.
Mary and
the Quran calls it the day of
Everything
clarification.
else is
Supposedly some type of major
is
change in the whole way that our reality functions. And we get this glimpse of clarity. Well,
yeah,
wouldn't
no
you know,
worries, Billy
Garabandal
Hicks.
talks about this. So let's go back to that because I am blown away by this. The visionaries reported receiving 2 messages, one directly from
That's a
Blessed
good
Virgin
idea,
Mary
Agos.
and the other
You should
from
do
the
that.
Virgin Mary
Yes.
by way of Saint Michael the Archangel.
The LARP angel.
So Michael was the channel. And he appeared. The first, revealed on October 18th, 1961, states, "We must make many sacrifices, perform much penance,
solar event
and
again.
visit the Blessed Sacrament frequently."
Still,
Now,
we've been talking
I
about
want
the
to make
solar
this point
events
too. The
before
Virgin
the
Mary
year 2000,
apparitions are
since
usually very
1998.
Catholic. Michael's message in Michael Prophecies does not say that you have to be a Christian in order to receive
that's good news.
the mercy and the blessing of God or the Creator, whatever you want to call it. It helps. It can help a lot because Christianity is probably the most accurate teaching without all the distortions that create religions and where people mess things up. In fact, I think these beings were trying to give us too much information, and they found out that people would take little pieces of it and miss the core, which is to be more loving and to recognize that there's only one infinite intelligence that actually...
Yeah, so the major message of the angel is to be more loving. How is it loving to scam old ladies out of hundreds of dollars for your books full of bullshit? Maybe this is just me, I don't know.
He made the universe. So again, this is going to sound very Christian, and you just don't take it too personally, but this is what it said.
You're in luck.
We must
You're not
lead
one of
good
those.
lives.
Yes.
If we do not, a chastisement will befall
One
us.
step away from saying Y2K is
The
coming
cup is
again.
already filling up, and if we do not change, a very great chastisement will come upon us. Now, this woman, he may not told me
Hey
that
there,
the chastisement...
Daisy. For those unaware, if you become a YouTube channel member during a live broadcast, we give you a shout out and a big thank you. So shout out and a big thank you to Daisy XX, who just became a YouTube channel member and is helping us to... Praise the cash, bitches. Thank you, Daisy XX. Very kind of you. We appreciate you. Now you can get all those extra goodies in our members only section. For those unaware, you can become a member for $5 a month. Just click that join button. When we appreciate all of you members, it really does help. Thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support.
was a solar flash, that's in the prophecy of Garbandal. Well, like I told you, the solar flash shows up all over the place. Here's these children.
Yeah.
They probably don't have a whole lot
I
of
have
education,
literally,
and
listen,
they're just channeling this.
I have literally talked to older women that gave Wilcock $333 and then weren't able to pay their bills or buy their medications for the rest of the month. So it's really scammy what he does.
Stuff. They're seeing these apparitions. Nobody else could see it but them. But very strange things were happening. They had manifestations in their mouths. They had no pain. Really interesting things were going on, and this attracted a lot of people. It went from 61 to 65.
Oh, sorry, Daisy
So
B.
the chastisement literally
can't do anything to help.
And as I have more time,
But just cancel your
and I keep
membership
on
at the end
digging,
of the
I'm gonna
month
bring
and
you more
do it again
data
with that
that
account.
supports all this.
Well, thanks anyway.
So, this
Daisy
is the same
XX.
exact message that Michael gave us, which is that we have now, since
Is that
1961,
like the X-rated
65,
version of your account?
learned our lessons, and we have avoided
Daisy B, she's
the
a wild one.
chastisement or the solar flash. We're now going to have a non-catastrophic
Yes,
ascension.
the 3 days of darkness.
But even during the time of the Edgar Casey readings, we didn't know if that was really going to be what would occur or not. And there's really no way to tell, you know.
I could do it with an
This is
incognito
stuff that's
browser.
very strange. And
Just
again,
open
when
an
I
incognito
realized
window and
that this
start a new account.
Garbandal prophecy existed, I would have loved to have put it into Michael prophecies, but I didn't actually unseal this until I broke out of my monastic solitude of 3 years and started to interact with the public,
Monastic
the
solitude.
people who love me, the people who want to see me.
Oh
It
yeah,
was wonderful. Everybody's coming up
loves
to me.
David,
They're smiling.
wants to see him.
So many people are telling me that my work has had this huge impact on their lives.
They're
That
stupid
they
people.
were going to
and
commit suicide, and that my work stopped them. That
They
they
must be
didn't believe in
stupid
God,
then.
and then they found out that God is real. They didn't understand what the UFOs really were. Turns out that there's angels and demons in these craft. As I've said in many other previous
There's angels
episodes,
and
there's
demons in the
multiple
UFO
examples
craft.
of saucers in the Bible as being the
That's
craft of the good
monastic
guys. And we also
solitude.
talked about
Yes.
the Fatima
It's also known as
visitations
my wife
in
left
Portugal
me.
in 1917 that clearly showed a disc of dull silver that covered the
Yeah,
sun.
and recently somebody asked me why Wilcock's wife left him. I don't know, but we can speculate. Like one of the big things, I would think one of the big major reasons that a woman leaves is because you can't make her come. But anything that I say about why she left would be pure speculation. I don't know why she divorced him and left. But if you can't make a woman come, she doesn't stick around, right?
Scared everybody half to death, and then created all these luminous, beautiful colors in the sky. And that
Could
appears
be.
to
Elmer
a
says there's an
metaphor
old
of
lady
the
that
solar
phones
flash
him
once
every
again.
Tuesday.
Well, it looks
pretending
like
to
they
be the
came back,
Archangel
and in
Michael.
Garbandal they had to do even more. So they
Look at the
told
back
us,
of my
yeah,
head.
there's going to be
I
a
have too many
chastisement if you
cameras.
guys don't change. Well, thank
Her
God we
CIA
have, and
contract
we're going to
ended.
avoid that. And so Garbundal tells us what's going to happen. It's unbelievable. It's exactly the same thing Michael is saying.
He's going to have a lot to explain to all the deities.
The June 18th, 1965 apparition in which Conchita heard the second message was televised live on Spanish television. Isn't that amazing? Wow. Only Conchita Gonzalez, regarded by most devotees of Garbundal as the principal visionary, was able to hear this second message. But here it is.
Random cutaway. Yes.
As my message, this is Archangel Michael talking now, or Virgin Mary through Archangel Michael. As my message of the 18th of October has not been complied with,
yes, and urine feet.
And as it has not been made known to the world, I am going to tell you this is the last one. Previously, my cup was filling. Now it is brimming over. Many cardinals, bishops, and priests are following the road to perdition. And with them, they are taking many more souls. Well, now we know there's a lot of really disturbing stuff about Catholic priests that has come out, and a lot of it involves children. So I think that's exactly what he's talking about.
He was mean to her. He was always yelling at her during the live streams.
Even less importance is being given to the Holy Eucharist.
Elizabeth, change the camera angle, you dumb bitch!
Away from us by our own efforts to be more loving.
Fix my hair.
If you ask his forgiveness with a sincere heart, he will pardon you.
She used to do his hair and
makeup.
This
is true. Doesn't matter what you've been through. I mean, look at me. They're telling me I had this evil stuff happening to me. None of it ever happened in my waking life, but something was going on for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I, your mother, through the intercession of Saint
100%.
Michael the Archangel, wish to tell you that you should make amends, ask for forgiveness, and, turn the wrath of God away from you by your own effort. In other words, the solar flash would have happened if too many of us were wicked.
Say some shit.
And by learning to live a more loving way, we're actually changing the physics of the earth such that we don't have to have a pole shift and that we have a non-catastrophic ascension.
Yeah,
that's exactly what this prophecy is about to
something.
describe.
He doesn't come here anymore, the Watcher. She met a
You are now being given the last warnings. Whoa. Uh-oh.
He says,
I love you very much, and I do not want your condemnation.
Really? Do you have a timestamp? Do you know what
Ask us sincerely, and we shall grant your plea.
Yeah, F you to his narcissistic ways.
Of Jesus.
Yes.
Besides the two messages,
I don't know. It looks like PowerPoint from Windows 98 to me, Amy Collins. I don't know.
Do not correct their ways. The warning is described as a momentary stopping of time around the world, with all people then seeing the spiritual conditions of their souls.
Honestly, I don't even know what
how
happened.
They should amend their ways.
I can address that real quick. So, there had been an awful lot of drama and arguing and fighting amongst the moderators. And as best I recall, because I didn't take his side in some petty squabble or dispute that he had with another person, then he left in a huff. That's the best I recall, but best of luck to him, and by the way, I just wanted to mention that, I appreciate anybody that volunteers and is like a chat room moderator or a Discord moderator, but I don't have time to settle. Everybody knows this. I've said it so many times. I don't have time to mediate or settle petty squabbles between show viewers and mods or mods and other mods. I'm just not going to do it. And it was always over some petty nonsense. And so several people who were once moderators here in the chat or in the Discord have left because I wouldn't take their side on some bullshit issue. I'm just not going to do that. We're all adults. Can we just get along and act like that? And I'm sorry to see them go. I don't want anybody unhappy or pissed off at me. I think I've got enough people pissed off at me, mostly grifters and scammers that we cover here. But I wish everybody the best of luck. If they decide they no longer want to be around and they want to leave, I say best of luck to you. But I am aware that some of those people who were sort of problems for us here became problems for other show hosts, because then they went to some other show and caused similar issues or problems. And we also at one time had a mod that was just muting, timing out, and hiding people from our channel that they didn't like. And we can't have that. We just can't have that. So we have the minimum of mods or whatever that we need. Usually the chat takes care of itself and everything's fine. if there's something huge going on, there's usually a mod in there, or I can jump in and do what needs to be done.
Absolutely mind-blowing. And the reason why is that this is exactly what's described in the Quran. It's almost the same wording, a momentary stopping
That's not
of time
true. I
around
see
the
your
world,
comments.
with all
you know?
people then seeing.
Then that's another thing.
souls. I mean,
You know, no offense, but I don't have time for people sending messages or emails to me telling me that they're muted, because I can check that and tell you right now, Steve Nicholson, you're not muted, and your comments are showing up in the chat. So there's no issue on our end. You know, I'm sorry if you're having issues, but there's no issue on our end. We're not, you know, we're kind of a free speech zone here. Unless somebody really needs to be timed out or muted, we don't do
and they
it.
almost quoted out of the Quran. It's basically the same thing. And that we now realize the Quran says that our souls are limitless and holy. So again, I don't want to quibble about the differences
His
between
grift
religions,
promotes
but I do
hope.
believe
No,
that
it's
religions
but
don't
it's
get started
false
by
hope,
accident.
Billy Hicks. He's promised people fucking superpowers, Billy Hicks, for $333. Then another time he promised everybody the secrets of anti-gravity and free energy for $333. He never delivers on anything he promises. So great. His message, his grift promotes hope and positivity. It's false hope and false positivity based on lies and scams. So I don't think he gets any points for that, but that's just my
It
opinion.
started because these
And you're entitled to
angelic
yours.
entities show up.
Thanks for that.
They make contact. It blows people's minds. Miracles are happening, like we see in these Virgin Mary
Yeah,
apparitions.
it's called the
People
Quran.
write down stuff that they're
Quran.
hearing in their minds, or that's being
Not
told to them
Quran.
aloud.
He keeps saying
This
Quran. He
then
can't
later turns into religious
this
texts.
asshole.
And
And that's
that appears to be
offensive
what's
to
going on.
every
But again,
Muslim.
this message right here
If you say the name
is
of their holy book
exactly,
wrong, it's offensive.
exactly the same thing that the same being, Archangel Michael, told us in Michael prophecies.
No, you're
Time
not
will
muted
cease.
either. See that?
There's going to be this sudden blissful consciousness.
Thank you, Infamous. I
And
appreciate
then
that.
we will
Thanks for being a
see
member.
the true nature of our souls. But now with
Another
Garbandal,
sick
there's all these
predator.
new
Yeah, I
details
agree,
that I didn't have
100%.
before. There's apparently going to be a time
The
after we
superpowers
get
are
this first
$333. You got to buy his
before
book
the
on
big
Ascension.
reckoning. It doesn't all happen at the
His
same
course.
time. This is really weird.
But everybody
So this
that
is all
paid
new to me.
$333, nobody ascended.
The miracle will leave a
I think that
permanent
was a
sign in
scam, too.
Garbandal, which can be seen and photographed but not touched. Well, I'm waiting to see what that's going to be.
Yeah,
That'll be
you're
fascinating.
correct, Daisy B.
The miracle will occur between March and May. This is another really weird and fascinating thing, right? Because
Yeah, we
Michael
only do that when
pinpointed the
somebody's
date,
really
the year as
needs
2025
to be
in the
out
Michael
of here.
prophecies.
We like
Memorial
to be
Day,
inclusive.
as far as I remember, falls in May. And the Alliance has now said they're going to do America's 250-year
Yes, this is the way,
celebration
Brett
in
Clark.
May
Absolutely. He's
2025,
taking advantage of the super
which was one of the
paranoid
real
and
nods
mentally
to
ill.
Michael prophecies. It was mind-blowing. So the miracle will occur between March and May.
have
Well,
a good
May
night,
of
Lucy Day.
2025 is exactly when they're going to start the 250-year celebration of America. And I believe by then the cabal will have been exposed and defeated.
Oh, great.
So
The
this is
cabal will
totally
be
mind-blowing.
exposed and defeated by next year.
Punishment or chastisement is conditional upon how humankind reacts to the preceding warning and miracle. Wow. So this is very,
Richard
very
S. Moore says David Wilcock is a full-blown
very, very
sociopath.
interesting. So
Either
something
that or
happens
psychopath.
where we go back to the way it
Sociopath would
was
be more-
after this
more,
miracle. And this is now
accurate, though. You're probably
CatholicStandard.com.
right.
Go look at that link, and here's where I read this from. It was revealed to the
Admiral
visionaries of
Rascal says, I will
Garbandal
keep my
that soon
$333.
after the
Yeah, I
warning,
don't blame you.
the forces of darkness would mount campaigns to convince
Yeah,
the world
you can't
this
send too
miraculous
many messages at
illumination of
once where they
conscience
hold them.
experienced simultaneously by the entire world
You're
had
right,
nothing
Troy,
to do
Troll,
with
Troll.
God
Yeah.
and could be explained away by science. Whoa. I've never heard this before. This
Greg
morning is
Wessel.
the first time I'd ever heard anything like this. That there's actually going to be some sort of very psychedelic
Cash
event,
grab,
which
nothing
Michael
more, says
calls in my
Jason
books,
Parker.
or his
Yes.
books, the Michael prophecies. Again,
Oh,
7
they're
for
his
70.
books.
I'm doing
They're
a great deal right now for limited
7
time.
of the
I
books
want
for
you to be able to get this
$70. I want you to be able to get it.
And,
But wait,
it
there's
also helps me
more.
greatly because I only have like $9,000 in the bank right now, and if any emergency hits
God,
me,
he
I'm done.
only has
so, like,
$9
thank you
grand in
guys
the
for helping
bank.
me out.
He's
Anyway,
only got
it
$9
says that
grand in the
this
bank.
will be debunked by science. They're going to say, no, had nothing to do with God. Everybody just kind of got weird for a while. We don't really know what
I agree,
this is.
100%.
So
Infamous
I'd never heard that. In
14206.
fact, I was
Thanks for being a
thinking that the
member.
warning and the miracle were going to happen at the same time, but apparently that's not the case.
He's
The
reading
warning
from the Fatima
is what he's
teachings.
calling the
It's
first
not
wave.
the Fatima. It's
But
another
then
sighting in Spain.
people are going to be able to go back from that psychedelic consciousness temporarily and be like, well, wait a minute. What the hell was that? What happened? And I've never ever heard
He's
this
complaining
before.
because he only has
Again,
$9,000
Michael
in the
unsealed
bank.
this through me
Yeah,
meeting
I
Jimena
agree.
from
Operation
Chile.
Shutdown says, I'd like
Her
to have
telling me,
$9
oh my
grand in
God,
the bank.
David,
Me
haven't
too.
you read Garabandal? I'm like, no.
I can pay all my
It's got
debts
the
if I
solar
had $9
flash.
grand.
Okay, well, check it out. Check it out. So people
Can
are going to try to
somebody
debunk
send me
the
a
first
$9
wave of
grand
ascension.
super
This is
chat?
all
That would
news
be
to me
awesome.
just since this morning. Perhaps they will try to write it off as a group hallucination caused
Not
by
this
a
grip.
solar
Fuck
flare.
this. Yeah.
Again, it's a solar flash, folks. Wow. Okay. Richard Dawkins and others are already laying that groundwork with the idea of, Darwinian evolution, skepticism, blah, blah, blah. Whatever they come up with, they will have a large audience
he's
willing to
always
latch
dabbled
on
in
to
all.
any explanation that does away with God. This is probably another reason why
That's
Michael
his
wanted me to
grip,
do all this in
mentioning how
advance,
much
so
he
that
has
when we
left,
all have
yeah.
this momentary trip out,
After spending
and we
$4
get this
grand on his
consciousness,
fridge.
I guess we're going to
Yes.
go back to kind of the way we
Most
were
of us don't
before.
have $9 grand.
I thought it was
don't
just
have
gonna
$9
stay
grand
on,
liquid.
but apparently it doesn't.
Laying in a
Apparently
bank
it
account somewhere.
flashes
Patty. I
for a
wish I
while.
did.
It's energized for a while, and then it goes. We kind of go back to conventional reality.
So Alpin 900
Really weird.
says, I'm down to my last 5 Bitcoin.
So yeah, people are going to try to say, "Oh, it's skeptical. It's
New
just
age
a hallucination. The
infomercial
sun did something
ShamWow.
strange."
Yes.
Everybody had a little bit of a, maybe they lost oxygen in their brain, or it'll be something like that.
You're fine, Billy Hicks. I like you here.
Now, all the while,
And thanks
Satan and
for
his
chiming
minions will
in.
be fanning the flames of their skepticism. That sounds about right. And even among the multitudes who are open to believing the
He's
truth
just
of
doing
what
a
they
super chat
experience,
shuffle.
many of them will be ill-equipped about what they should do.
I think it
in
did get a little
response to it.
bigger. Yes, it gets bigger with every
So this is
stream.
also really interesting, right? Even though there's going to be this
I could
breathtaking
care less
first
about
wave
his
of ascension,
followers and their problems.
a lot
I
of
get to
people
that.
won't really have the spiritual
Admiral
tools
Rascals,
to
9 grand would
understand
be
what
nice
it
to
was.
have.
What are they supposed to do? What does it
Billy
mean
Hicks,
for
Stephen
them?
definitely
What-
doesn't censor
what
unless 100%
insights do they
necessary.
carry back from
I
this
can-
weird
That
event
after 2 years of watching.
that
Thanks,
apparently
Billy
is a
Hicks.
solar
Yeah,
flare?
free
The
speech.
sun's going to do something. But then we
Yeah.
temporarily go back
Because
to
I only had
conventional
9
reality.
grand and the
If you read
cult
more
still
about
throw money at
Garabandal,
him. That's how dumb his
it's only a
followers are.
year later, or maybe
Oh my
even a
God, he's
little
only got
less, within 1 year,
$9,000. I better
that
send
then
him
there was
500.
another event, which is the miracle. So that would be like the second wave of ascension.
Yes,
And
you
the second
are
wave of
correct.
ascension, I think, is
Oh,
where people
yeah.
start to
I
have
think that's how you say
light
that.
body activation. There may be people that
Or
get it on this first
AOE,
wave, or maybe not. I'm not really
all.
sure. But if everybody can go back to being skeptical, then it probably, the light body stuff doesn't happen until what they call the miracle.
I could see him
And
being a
if we don't
televangelist,
listen to
Richard
this
Moore.
warning well enough, then we get a
It
catastrophic
grows the more
ascension
BS
where the
they
solar
will
flash is actually
Yes.
going to cook the planet. That could be what happens. But again, Michael has said,
Yeah, you're
learn
right.
our
He only
lessons.
thanks
We
him to
don't
fill
have to
some
go
time
through
if,
this
if the
anymore.
moment suits
It's all
him.
going to be good.
Yes.
So
The super chat
this is
shuffle.
very, very interesting.
Yes, I'm
and
doing
I just
that
found out
myself.
about this today.
Doing
So
a
I'm
super
very
chat
excited.
shuffle. Send some
If
super
you'd like to
chats. I'll
find these
dance
books
like
for
a
yourself,
monkey.
if you'd like to hear what
Right?
Michael has to say,
I will
go to
dance like a monkey for some
WWDisclosure.com. I
super
forgot to keep
chats, damn
flashes
it.
there, but they should be $70, man. That's about as good a deal as I can make. For
Man,
something
how many
that
times he's pitched
literally
this like
took
5 times
probably
already.
8 years
He's
of my life to
desperate
write.
for
4
money.
years back then, 4 years
He'll
up front
realize
here
that there's
now.
more money.
Altogether,
Yes.
it's just a massive amount of work. And so I'm making it very approachable. We are going to get it out in print
Yeah,
form
you're
in the
right.
future.
If he's so
I haven't
psychic,
had
why
time to
doesn't he
do that
just
yet, but I did
remote view
upgrade books
tomorrow's
1 and 2.
lottery numbers,
There's
right?
newer versions of them that are now on the site that are current as of like February of this
Yeah, he
year.
updated books
And
1
again,
and
if
2
you
because
want
there
to
was
get this
clearly false information in books 1 and 2. So he's already editing his own books because he knows there was completely and totally false predictions in books 1 and 2. And I know because somebody gifted me book 1 when he only had book 1 done and was first selling the first book.
Discount.
In the first book, the Archangel Michael claims that Corey Good's information is entirely accurate. And then right after that book came out, Corey Good went into court and said, "Oh yeah, I made it all up." So that's probably why he edited that out, I bet you. But I have the original version still, David Wilcock, you dumbass.
You got to order the books only, not the one with the video.
How many times
And
is he
then
going to
type in
pitch
the
these
code
books?
Revelation.
Discount bullshit.
So, as I've been saying, we are going through
He
this
mentioned
interesting
skeptics.
process
Oh.
where there is a military uprising. It's from within the military and the intelligence community, and it is widespread. And
Yes,
it's
the
gonna come
Knights
out
of Wilcock.
through
Yes.
an
He's
official
one
channel.
step
In fact,
away
what
from
we're
selling snake
expecting is
oil,
that there's
says
gonna be
Legal Eagle.
arrests.
Can't
There's
say
gonna
I
be some
disagree.
type of sudden uptick of warlike
Oh,
activity.
again with the arrests. Again with the mass arrests. He's been promising mass arrests since 1998. And once he said the mass arrests already happened. Now he's predicting they're going to happen again. We thank a kind and generous Thomas Robinson, says, protecting aliens since 1947. Well, I did promise you a little dance, so here you go. Dance like a monkey, right? Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We appreciate you, and thanks for appreciating us and helping us to
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
praise the cash, bitches. All right, let's got to keep going. We're not. How far are we? Well, we made it past the first hour.
Distressing black swan events. It could be financial. It could be the threat of nuclear war. Some type of conflict escalation that gets everybody
Again,
off
with
their
the
butt and
arrests,
makes everybody
Stacey B says,
realize,
"Shut
wow,
the
we
fuck
really
up."
are in trouble if we don't deal with this DS issue.
We're the deep state.
So
mass
the alliance,
arrests,
as
the
I
alliance.
said, originally started to talk to us in 2017 October.
Yeah,
with
he
these
pushed
posts
this before.
that involve the 17th letter of the alphabet,
You
right?
can say the word
Letter
Q
Q.
now.
And so it was widely attacked by the media. Oh, this is a conspiracy. This is not true. But if you actually
I
were
agree,
reading
Eddie
all that
Kurtz.
stuff,
I agree. I
there's
think it
almost
does work that
5,000
way.
posts. They were giving out tons of information.
Tons of fake
And a lot of it was
information.
really, really bad and really, really dark. And
Yeah,
now,
Q-tard. Now
based
he's-
on my own
Q-tard.
assessment,
Q-tard
they
grip
have
time.
transferred these posts over to this particular
Shadows
Twitter
of
page
Ezra.
called Shadow of Ezra.
Telegram account.
And so I would say
Q-tard
that if
account.
nothing else, you really ought to be following these. And in fact, they're now getting millions of views. And I think that these videos I'm doing have had a lot to do with that, because
Oh, now
a
he's
lot of
going to
times
take
I was
credit.
seeing
No, they were
only
getting millions of
not even
views
breaking
before you ever
10,000
shared
before.
one. You
But
asshole.
now some of these posts are getting over 1 million views.
Oh, it's because of me. They're getting
And again,
millions of views.
We can't
And that guy
deal
doesn't
with
even know
reality
why Wilcock is using his
by
horse in
staying
his
in
grip.
denial. If you are in denial, if you don't want to look at the truth, it's going to hurt you. You can't live your life as an ostrich. You can't, well, you can, but if you put your head in the sand and you don't want to look at anything, you just get traumatized. I can't do it. I can't do it. I won't look. Oh, you know, that's how atrocities happen. The galactic logos, the Christ, this cosmic consciousness
Peterson
that
died after Wilcock
manifested in
peed in
human
his
form
tub.
as Jesus is, according to the law of one, the creator of our galaxy, and everybody in this
Oh,
galaxy
that's
is going to
cool.
look
Thank
human.
you. I appreciate
So that's
that.
why in John it says God created man in his own image. The original word God in the Aramaic is logos. So the logos created man and woman in its own image. The law of one explains that that's the human being form, the template of Christ that's in our galaxy. So therefore, yeah, Jesus showed up here, but it's not like salvation only occurs on earth. It was the manifestation of our galactic creator. So God the Son is the galactic creator. God the Father is the universe. It's a very, very interesting thing. So again, Christianity has more depth than we thought. So if you hear about
I gotta see
satanic
that,
stuff,
yes.
if you hear about demons and it just freaks you out so much that you're like, I just can't even live in a world where this is true. I refuse to look at it. I'm out.
Yeah, that's a
Then
shame.
you're part of the problem.
They pull your
And we need to
heartstrings,
be
right?
able to
Nobody
have the
wants to see
spiritual
children in
faith,
trouble.
the spiritual
Anna Louisa.
fortitude to understand, number one, this is real. And number two, there is a path to freedom.
Yeah, he took credit
There
for
is
the
a
five
path to
Detroit.
freedom in the oneness, in the Christ consciousness.
David and the demonic
And it's
forehead.
non-denominational. I believe that if you are a good person, you are tapping into the core of what made you. My perspective on all this has always been that the energy of the universe itself is alive and intelligent. DNA is a
Yeah,
precipitate.
you might be right, Steve,
of
but people like
intelligent
me to
energy.
do this. So
Hence
you
the
know,
work of
you're
Dr.
here
Luc
to please the
Montagnier, where he
audience.
takes a tube of distilled water and then a tube of distilled water with DNA in it, and he energizes the tube with 7 hertz electrostatic frequency, the same thing the Earth gives off, and you cook it for 18 hours, and then by God, the water that was just plain distilled water has DNA in it. Where the hell
right,
did that
Billy
DNA
Hicks.
come from?
Very similar.
It comes from the background of quantum
Thomas Robinson
mechanics.
says I buy his books for
Earth's
firewood.
electrostatic frequency energizes the DNA in the other tube, and it actually causes hydrogen and oxygen molecules, which
Could
is
be.
what water is, to alchemically transmute into complex
Junior high level
polysaccharides.
Aramaic.
Holy
Yeah,
crap.
he probably can't.
So yeah,
garage you.
life is everywhere. Anytime you have liquid water on any planet, you're going to have life.
Yeah, I
And
think he's
NASA
one
has
of the
now
top.
said, after
Him
the
and Stephen
Pettigrew
Greer are
study
the
in
top earning
2015,
grifters, I think.
that there are 40 billion Earth-like planets in our galaxy. They probably all have life.
You keep
and it
saying
probably
that,
all
Cal
directs
Poly.
towards humans. Because again, the cosmic Christ, the galactic logos, engineers DNA to.
All right, we're gonna flip to something that may be more interesting. David Wilcock talking about sex. I think it's pretty funny. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing here. Hold on here. We're going to flip to this because David Wilcock starts talking about, I don't know where this is in the video, and I just want to make sure that we include it because this is a funny part of this shit show. Let's see what he has to say about sex with women.
They're just going to have a really hard time with being sexual, which has also been my case, as I said last weekend. I don't want to go into all the detail because it's traumatic, but you know, my relationships have not really been physical. Most of the time, it's just a short amount of time, and then I start to have difficulty, and it doesn't make it
difficulty.
Fun to have a relationship because I just got overwhelmed. I mean, with my first girlfriend, the first time I made out with my first girlfriend in college, and she was Japanese, I started to feel sick, and I was very much in love with her. I thought she was beautiful. My heart was open to her, but as soon as I started getting physical, I felt like I was going to throw up.
He felt like he was going to throw up because he was going to bang a girl.
And that has unfortunately been consistent. I have to feel very safe. I have to feel very stable. I can't just do it. It's got to be like it's got to all be right, you know. And I hope that I have healed enough
to be wined and dined.
That in the future it'll be different. But that's the way it's always been, and it's probably why people didn't stick around either. I mean,
oh man, his wife didn't stick around because he couldn't get it up, and he got sick when he tried to bang her. Is that what he just said? I think David Wilcock just said his ex-wife left because he couldn't get it up and bang her, and he got physically ill when he tried to bang a woman. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Let's go back to the rest of the video. We're up to an hour and 1 minute.
Become human.
Well, thanks to the person that sent me that.
A typical planet is going to have a biosphere that looks like ours for the most part. Birds, fish, plants, animals. And then certain species will evolve into humans. But apparently,
can't get it up,
in the law of one, they say that's called investment, and different types of creatures in the biome can become humans.
Wilcock
so you
has
might
a micro
have,
penis, says the skeptical
fish people
skeptic.
In a planet that's all oceanic. You might have people that look like they came from dogs, people that look like they came from cats.
He's going to come down with a case
frog
of stigmata.
people, all different kinds of stuff.
There's frog
people. We have every different type of skin color in the ETs that we see, but probably the biggest shock of disclosure is going to be that most extraterrestrials are human. They are not aliens. Grays do occur. They're fairly
he cried
common,
while he was banging his wife.
That would be more like a human that has evolved into larger eyes and a larger head. Their eyes aren't probably usually black. That may be some type of lens that's worn over the eye. If you remember the original Roswell fake video where they redid the Roswell autopsy in the mid-90s, they were pulling off those black things, and it was like a sunglasses that was over the eye, like a contact lens. So
I'd say his herpes had more to do with it than William
Crowley
Kane.
how to summon demons.
Thanks for being
That became something that people began doing all over the world in these very occult circumstances where you actually see something show up. Well, the Alliance is now considering it a military necessity.
Definitely frog people, Cal.
We all have to learn about this because you can't defend yourself against an enemy that you don't understand.
Yes,
you have to
apparently,
understand
women make him
what's happening. So check this out. This is really disturbing. This is where, again, if you get easily triggered,
here we
you
get
might
into
not
the
want to keep
Q-Tard
watching.
posts. We're into the Q-Tard Telegram post.
Zoom in on it because what you're seeing here
this
is
is the stunning new intel. Telegram Q-Tard.
I should probably check post 311. I haven't done that, but anyway, I'm just trying to get it all done as fast as I can here. Let's zoom in on the text.
I agree.
In 2019, investigative journalist Rich Marin testified to Senator Bernie Sanders about a planned coup by a fascist group called the Reich And if you play the video there, if you play the audio clip, he says that this is associated with this three-letter agency that we all know and love called the
Jason
company
Parker.
that starts with a C. It's within that group that this Reich exists. Well, that's shouldn't be a big surprise to anybody. If you
Yeah,
watch
maybe he
Moment of
has
Truth,
ED,
we
right?
talk about the
I
Galen
never
War,
had that
this
problem in my life.
Nazi
I
General
had a problem
Galen was
not
brought
getting-
over to America. They gave him a false identity.
So, Alpin, I have problems
And then
not
there was a
getting
lot of stuff that he
erections,
started doing
We're getting too
about
many.
these paramilitary operations.
Never had a problem
and the purpose
getting one.
was to create a global fascist takeover, which is also what it says in the Law of One. Very, very difficult material to comprehend. Revealing their plans in
Flashbacks of banana
2019,
sandwich torments
and he's
him
got this
sexually.
documented, he recorded it, for a coronavirus pandemic and how they were blackmailing people through Uncle Jeffy. Oh my God. Sanders' name keeps coming up a lot these days. So then you listen to the audio and he's talking
agree,
to
okay,
Sanders on the
Reliable.
phone,
Thanks
and
for being a
Sanders is
member.
very nervous. He does not want to go up against the company. He does not want to go up against the Reich. He does not want to step into this satanic world.
I know, it makes no sense.
And then
Don't try to make
on
sense of it.
April
It's
28th,
the wacky
it
world
got
of
even
Wilcock.
more
This guy
very,
is
very disturbing, where they have
crazy.
a video of Manson, none other than Charles Manson, with a more normal-looking haircut. If you could see, he looks really sweaty and whatever, but it's not all curly and
I
crazy.
just
like
love
it
how
was in
his
the
stunning
60s.
new intel is from a
But he does this whole
Q-Tard
talk,
channel.
and he talks about that he was apparently molested, and so he gets into very specific detail, and that kind of trauma for a weak-minded person might make them re-traumatize and then do the same thing to others, which is what happened, of course. Manson is responsible for these horrific, horrific murders while they were playing Helter Skelter by the Beatles, apparently, is what was going on. And so
Yeah.
this was all intended.
So far as Q, Billy Hicks, the first prediction was that Hillary Clinton was going to be arrested the following week. As soon as that didn't happen, and that was one of the first posts, as soon as that didn't happen, I was like, this is all bullshit. I might have stuck around through 3 or 4 more predictions of shit that never happened. The Q-Tard was one big LARP, a live action role playing, some pig farmer pretending that he was a government insider. It was all fake. It was all bullshit. And I just find it incredibly funny that David Wilcock makes a stream called Stunning New Intel. And his Stunning New Intel is a story of a Blessed Mother apparition from ages ago from Christian mysticism, and Q-Tard posts from a Telegram channel. That's his stunning new, that's intel, apparently. Welcome to the wacky world of Wilcock.
To stop the hippie movement. I had multiple insiders tell me the Manson stuff was intentionally done. He was under mind control. He was programmed to do it. And
Oh,
the
very
purpose
nice.
was to
Well,
stop
thanks,
all the momentum
high-speed
of
chase.
Woodstock and try to, terrorize everybody. He did a pretty darn good job. But this is what he actually said. Eleanor Roosevelt, the first lady of the U.S. from 33 to 45,
Maybe couldn't
during her
find the
husband,
G-spot even if he had a
President
miner's
FDR's 4
outfit
terms in
and a
office,
GPS.
was accused of sacrificing
Oh, we're
drinking
here all night, friends.
in the 1940s. I'm not going to say all the rest,
Yes,
but you
so
can
his
read.
intel was from Twitter posts.
And then they
using
give you a
Charles
very,
Manson as
very
a source.
creepy picture of her where her teeth are stained from all the smoking. And she's got this big dark ring under her eye on the left there. She's
Oh
got
my
this very,
God.
very
Eleanor
creepy
Roosevelt
toothy
drank
grin.
children's blood now.
And
Come on.
so clearly the Alliance wants us to
It's
learn about
disrespectful.
this.
Woman's
And it's got
dead. Let her
500,000
rest in
views
peace.
the
Don't make
time I
up
looked
fake
at it. So this is
conspiracy
becoming
theories
very,
about
very
her with no
popular.
evidence.
Now, again, this is his own words, Manson's own words. People, oh, well, he's not credible. Yeah, but he did say
I agree,
these
Patty.
things, and
I agree, Steve Nicholson.
we don't know for sure
You're
that
not
he's
going
lying.
to get any vagina.
They came out just a couple days ago with another one that was even more disturbing in some
And
ways.
besides even
About
that,
generational.
if you're, let me ask the ladies in the audience, if you meet a man and he has what appears to be herpes sores around his mouth and his eyes, are you letting him hit that? I don't think many women. I think most women, if they meet a guy that has herpes sores around his mouth and his eyes, they would run, right? You'd be afraid to get something, I would think. I mean, Q-Tard posts and Q-Tard posts and Q-Tard posts. This is stunning intel. He found it on Telegram.
A Jewish
What an
woman shared
asshole
with
this
Oprah
guy
Winfrey
is.
that she was born into a family that worships the devil. Now, of course, again, I'm not anti-Semitic at all. I think this whole college thing is disgusting. And I am glad that this is finally being
Yes,
stood
he
up to.
will
I mean,
use
if you're
anything, yeah.
anti-Semitic, you don't get it. That has nothing to do with what's going on. I grew up in upstate New York. Half of the people I knew were Jewish. I've only recently been even trying to think about, like, okay, who did I know who was Jewish? Oh, well, that person. It didn't even matter. And so to try to denigrate a whole
It does.
category of people because some of them got in trouble is nonsense. But within Judaism, there are
Now he's going to
extremist
explain Judaism to
factions,
you.
just like there are in every religion. There's extremist Islam, where they want to do jihad and they want to torture and carve people apart. There's extremist forms of Christianity, where they get all, end time oriented and think that if you're not a Christian, you're going to burn in
Good
hell.
night, Annie Kurtz.
I don't believe that at all. In fact, again, Michael's message is that we've all internalized the basic message of Christ enough that we're not going to have to go through catastrophic earth changes. Thank God. But anyway, this is what it
He's the
says.
man.
He was born into a family that worships the devil, engages in rituals
It's
involving babies.
Hard nonsense.
And read the rest. With a family lineage tracing back to the 1700s. She also mentions that she believes other families partake in
too much
similar
time
practices.
being spent on
And the
what
part I
may or may
highlighted
not
at
be
50 seconds, it says, I've blocked out.
intel.
She doesn't remember most of what happened to her. So hypnosis is one of the basic technologies of how this apparently works. So again, I don't have time to go through all of the latest Ezra posts, but they are amazing. There was one that came through a few days ago that was a video that was highly
They're not amazing.
Where they
They're
say
all
there's
bullshit.
only one country
it's
left.
So stupid. It's anybody
They gave us
that
a lot of
believes
detail about what's going on with Israel. I don't think Israel is going to be a problem much longer. There's going to be a change, and the war is going to end. And we're already seeing all of it stacking up that way. If you want to know more, again, please go to Twitter and look for this channel, and you'll learn everything about it. And it appears that that the Mossad is doing their own internal work, which includes wet work, and they're taking out people at the top levels of government doing
Annie,
investigations.
good. I'm glad you're sticking around. Annie
Bringing
Kurtz
in
said,
top people.
if WILCOCK had a herpes on his face,
this
bye.
is not going to stay
Annie
this way. And I'm
Kurtz
very
would
happy
run
about that. In no
from
way
herpes WILCOCK.
do I want these atrocities to continue. I never have. The whole thing has been freaking me out from the beginning, and I'm so glad
women terrify him.
appears to be coming to an
Some
end.
men are like that.
So
I remember when I was coming up in the music business, I had a member of my band that was very shy, like painfully shy. And at the clubs and the shows and the parties and everything, women would try to talk to him and he would all but run. We once locked him in a room with a girl that was like a groupie that said she was going to bang him. And he just said, "Oh, I don't really want to do this. I hope you're okay. Like, we'll just leave in 10 minutes." And he was just like that. He was like just terrified of women. Some men are like that. They're just overly shy. I don't know.
Whistleblower testimony on this group, the so-called Illuminati. My understanding was that they are essentially using hypnosis that was started by. As we're going to hear,
that he's a hand washer.
By Cleve Baxter, he figured this out.
That's not a bad thing. My wife's big
so
on
one
that.
way to
She'll yell
this
at you
where people don't remember anything because
like my wife, if she hears that I went to the bathroom and I just come out too fast, she always says, "Wash your hands," and especially during the lockdown shit. I'm starting to think this guy actually believes what he's saying. If that's a fact, the guy needs help. He needs a rubber room. Yeah. And forget the sparkly jackets, right? Forget all about the sparkly jackets. There's another jacket really for him, right? One second, I'm trying to find something here. Oh, wait a minute. I had it here. Yeah, this is just funny. I found David Wilcock's next jacket for his shows. And here it is right here. I think that's very appropriate, Steve Nicholson. He doesn't need a sparkly jacket. He needs a jacket like this and a rubber room to go with it. He would last 20 minutes tops in most pubs and bars. Yeah, I can't disagree with you.
They go through conventional hypnosis, but then there's also an alien technology. Alien technology
on to the next.
Involves the use of UFOs. If you get taken on a trip with a UFO and you get taken to a remote location for, let's say, several hours. They can bring you back to the moment in time that you left, and it appears that no
This is
time
just
has
a
lapsed,
20 back
and
shit.
you don't remember anything.
Recycle Corey Good
All
garbage.
you can get is a dream. So I talked about this at my weekend conference. I said,
Yeah,
there's
straight
probably
jacket.
people who have been through this.
Yeah, put a
for
few
positive
sparkles
reasons,
on it to
because a
gay
lot
it
of
up.
these ships that crash are angelic positive ETs using flying saucers, like in the Bible and like in all the Fatima.
Why would angelic ETs, or why would angels need a flying saucer? I mean, I don't know. Call me kooky. I just spent 12 years of theology and scripture study in Catholic school, but I've never heard that angels needed vehicles to get around. Now, certainly there are references, Ezekiel's wheel in the Bible and things like that, but angels don't need vehicles, David Wilcock. You haven't the slightest idea about real theological principles.
Visions that we've seen.
It's just wrong.
And the Virgin Mary apparitions and the Archangel Michael apparitions. You got your flying
Clear
saucer.
jacket, yes.
And what could happen in the case of the good beings is that if you need a vacation, they might take you to the Hawaii planet, which
Washing
doesn't
hands
exist.
up your
There's a planet near
elbows.
us where the whole planet is like Hawaii. There's lots
Oh.
of cool human ETs hanging out there.
What's the source for
They
this?
could take
Trust
you to the
me,
Hawaii
bro.
planet. You might spend 5 years on vacation,
Hawaii planet.
and then they bring you back to the moment you left.
That's a prop. He never plays it.
Another thing that could happen is, let's say you accidentally die,
It's like sleeping and
and
having
they
a
didn't
dream.
plan on you dying yet. and the
Yes.
timeline
Maybe
requires
he just
you
fell
to be
asleep and
alive.
had a dream.
They can take
David
your dead
Wilcock,
body
you
with
dumbass.
alien technology or extraterrestrial technology. You probably don't like the word alien. They have extraterrestrial technology that our government got their hands on,
Yes, wings. Who
where
needs a
even if
vehicle?
your whole
Yes.
body was burned and all they had is your elbow,
Angels ride Charlie Davidson.
they could zap you on the med bed, and over the course of a
Oh,
day,
now we're
your
into
whole
med
body
beds.
will regrow out of that elbow. All the burnt stuff goes away.
Oh my God, he's repeating Randy Kramer medbed claims, right? The fake space marine. Are you that desperate for material that you're going to start talking about medbeds, you dumbass?
And the body turns in over time, the body grows back in full, and then once it's fully ready to be restored, you suddenly reanimate into your body and you're conscious again. So Jesus was able to do this just with Lazarus. Of course, he raised Lazarus from the dead. Apparently, the ability to do this is technological in nature, and it exists for all these angels.
Why would God
So
need
let's
a
say you die.
technology to do anything? He makes no sense. He just said that Jesus needed a technological device to perform a miracle. If Jesus is God, he doesn't need any technology to do anything, David Wilcock. He's God.
And you weren't
Makes no
supposed to.
sense.
This is what happened to Ray Stanford, the author of the Fatima Prophecies.
Yes, they can
And
regrow
I
you from
stayed
an
at a
elbow.
farm with
Wow.
A man named John in
So
Virginia Beach.
stupid. What's the
And
source of
John
that? Trust me,
was
bro.
actually Ray Stanford's close friend. And Ray Stanford
Medbeds,
apparently channeled the
wow,
beings
yeah.
of Fatima. I don't know if it was real or not, but one of the weird
Yes, you take a
things that John
vacation
personally
in a
told me
spaceship. Shane
is that
Campbell.
Ray Stanford was driving in fog at a high speed, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a multi-car
Angels and
pileup.
UFOs brought a medbed to the
There's a
cave of the
multi-car-
resurrection. Yes.
You drink water. Multi-car pileup.
When you have herpes, you get thirsty fast.
He doesn't have any time to hit the brakes. His car smashes
I don't know if
right
he has
into
herpes.
this
I don't know.
multi-car pileup.
I hope not. You should get
There's a
some,
bright flash of light. He
get
doesn't
some
feel
cream
any
for that shit,
impact.
though, or something, man.
And all
That's
of a
gross.
sudden, his car is on the other side of this massive
It's
multi-car
sleeping. He's
pileup,
sleepwalk.
and
Yes.
he's alive. But the strangest part of the story is that all of the electronics in his vehicle were fried.
Hawaii
they might have-
planet does
The
sound great
beings
to me,
might have-
Patty.
the
I like
positive angelic
tropical
beings might have
places.
created a portal around his car, allowing him to fly
He has
through
screaming
the
frogs telling him
multi-car
intel
pileup
now.
without
Yes.
dying. But then, as a consequence of this technology, it
Big
fried all of his
reanimation.
electronics.
Sniff.
Or maybe he did die and they restored him. So I do believe there are cases
Bad idea.
of people dying and being restored
Where's the
by
flag?
this advanced technology.
People are being
And again, this is all
brought
stuff
back to
that
life.
happens with time travel. If you died, they can bring you back to before it happened. And the only way you're going to remember your death is in a very traumatic dream. So this all goes back to some Project Camelot data that's very amazing, where Nikola Tesla
Oh my
built
God.
a turbine that creates anti-gravity. But when you use this technology, you get amnesia. You can't remember anything that happened on the trip.
Yes,
I guess
medbeds
that's
can
the
fix
basic function of all
everything
UFOs.
except the herpes.
So this testimony was produced by Ralph Ring.
That doesn't do anything for herpes.
I think
These
it was roughly
medbeds.
around 2008 or thereabouts that this came out.
The
And I
medbeds
want to
cure
read you
everything
from the
with
Ralph
his
Ring transcript on Project
space
Camelot's
herpes.
website. So Otis T. Carr was the father of the elevator. He was Tesla's protege, and Otis T. Carr is the one who built a flying saucer called the OTC-1 using Tesla
This man was
turbines to create
a con
anti-gravity, free
He never
energy,
created
and time
anything.
travel all at the same time.
He was a con artist.
So this is really interesting because now this is Ralph Ring's personal testimony of being there with Otis T.
apparently
Carr
you can't help with
and
his,
Otis T.
with his
Carr
ED,
giving
his
them a ride on the
limp
ship.
noodle
But then he
problems.
says, wait a minute, you guys aren't going to remember anything about what happened during this UFO ride. You're only going to get dreams. So
I don't know, but he's
check
got
this out.
herpes
This is what
around
Ralph
his
Ring had to
eyes
say.
or some kind of sores.
So Otis Carr said, okay, boys, get out of the craft and see what's going on. By this point, they've already taken the ride on the UFO. I'm skipping over a lot of stuff.
And
Didn't it
Louisa,
work,
I'm
or what
worried.
happened?
Wilcock had $9. Tragedy.
He said, come on, then, get out
Can't
of the
heal his
craft. 'Cause they didn't
herpes.
feel any sense
Yeah.
of movement. They just thought they
Yeah.
were sitting in the same place. We got out and we were downrange 10
Yeah, and
miles
that's
from
another
where
thing.
this
If you were in contact with the Archangel Michael and you had herpes on your face and around your mouth, wouldn't the angel tell you to go see a fucking doctor? DCP! Like, you need a doctor, David Wilcock. You got herpes all around your mouth and your eyeballs. Like, then, yeah, do something about that herpes sores, David Wilcock. Oh, God.
aquamarine area was. This is one of the strangest things of all. There was a globe in the middle of the ship.
Yeah,
It had a
Project Camelot.
rainbow spectrum
Yes.
light that reflected on the round walls inside. So you saw red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
Well, that's interesting.
And then
Steve
Otis
Nicholson.
Carr, like remote viewing,
Yes, let's go for a UFO
programmed their
ride.
destination, not as we're going to go to,
His lip
the
had
sewage treatment
radiation
plant in Fort
poisoning.
Meade, Maryland, but go to the aquamarine. And that's similar to remote viewing coordinates, right? It's just random stuff.
Oh,
Go
really?
to the aquamarine.
That's
So
pretty
people
interesting, Amy.
visualized aquamarine inside the ship, and then the rainbow
Yeah, we
colors.
do. I
turned
gotta
to
show the herpes
aquamarine.
photos again,
And then as
Daisy
soon as
B.
that happened, the trip was over and they were at their destination, but
I'll
nobody
do
felt
it.
any inertia or movement at all. So that's what's going on. We got out and we were now downrange 10 miles from the aquamarine area.
There we go. Some kind of herpes sores, Daisy. Don't make me share this again. That's gross, and I don't want to see it again. All right. So this story about Otis T. Carr is a completely and totally one-source, evidence-free story. And Otis T. Carr was something of a con artist, to the best of my knowledge and recollection. So he's just repeating a fake evidence-free story that has no evidence whatsoever. And I always love these people who claim that they were involved with the invention of free energy and anti-gravity. Do you know they can never demonstrate the technology they claim to have invented, though? Like, isn't that a problem? Like, you're going to tell me you invented anti-gravity and free energy, but you can't show me any working prototype or even a small model that can do these things? That might be your first clue that this person is a scammer and a con artist. But David Wilcock loves scammers and con artists as long as he can use their bullshit stories to grip the old ladies in his dumbass audience.
This is important in a minute. Take some grass or whatever you can find. No, not that kind.
The
I'm already done
spaceship
with that.
landed, and I got
Some
these
tumbleweed,
sores.
whatever you can find to get acquainted with where you're at.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When
I
you
don't
get
even
back,
mean to
you're
laugh
not
that
going to
much.
remember
If he
any
really
of
has got
this.
a medical condition,
Whoa,
he's
that's
a
the whole
doctor.
point. You're not going to remember a darn thing.
Medbay
So
help
we
you
had
regrow your
people
missing
put
testicles.
grass in their pockets because otherwise they're not even going to believe that they ever took a trip. Your mind is not capable of remembering. As soon as the flow of gravity in your pineal gland changes or is interrupted, you automatically go into a dream space. And this is also why when UFOs contact people, you don't hear birds, you don't hear sounds of animals, there's no noise, because you're actually now in between time and there's no sound. It gets very, very quiet. And then you don't remember anything. You're not going to remember anything when you get back. So Ralph says that was the gist of the whole thing. So we did stuff our pants with dirt and rocks.
Rocks
and
in your
grass,
pockets, yeah.
And then we got back on board
Somehow
the
the
ship.
rocks just
and then
ended up in your
makes
pocket.
the sound of a fast movement. We were back.
He's desperate for material.
We got out of the craft. We went into debrief. Sorry, we got too excited.
That would be funny.
We got out of the craft. We went into debriefing
I
and
people
then
have said
said,
they
"Well,
were
what
butt
happened?
banging
It
each
didn't
other.
work, did it?"
I don't know.
He says, "You don't think it worked? Look in
Not
your
that there's
pockets."
anything wrong with that, I guess.
So we
Whatever
looked in our
floats your
pockets,
boat,
and here's
right?
these dang rocks. I had grass stains. I had everything. And I said, "Oh my God." Gary Voss was interviewing him. He says, "You didn't have any memory of your trip?" He said, no memory at all. I only gradually remembered it later on, being there and picking up the rocks. It was just like Voss says, like it was a dream or something.
Wilcock monkeypox.
Ralph Ring says, yes,
Oh,
like it was
no.
a dream, exactly. You would advance your imagination to a certain point, and then you would forget about it.
Are those rocks in your pocket, or you're just glad to see
And so
me?
I thought, this is the most incredible experience I've ever had.
He wished
He
he
said,
had
no,
rocks in
it's
his
simple.
pocket.
Your brain
Yes.
is there to operate your body. You're in a vessel when you're here in third density Earth. This is an
Pineal
illusionary
gland,
vessel that
yes.
people don't realize, because we keep creating this in microseconds. From 1 second to the other, these shutters are opening and shutting, creating all this reality that you see around you, but none of it really exists.
I don't know. This all sounds like horseshit to me, this section.
Isn't that fascinating?
It's an
It's
evidence-free
all spirit,
story
it's
from a
all
con artist
energy,
that never
But
proved his
we are the
claims.
ones creating it.
And he made
was
the
blowing
UFO
us away.
circuit for years, this guy.
Otis Carr explained it. He said, well, it's simple. People don't realize that man and woman, humans in a sense, created time. In essence, time doesn't really exist. Time only exists when we
Legally,
create
I
it.
bet the rest of his
It
outfit is
gives
high
us a
heels,
beginning and an
fishnets,
end
and
to
a
something.
thong.
That's what we call time. But in a greater reality, there is no time. We pegged our trip at about 15 minutes, but he says that in our time, we were only gone a few seconds. We just went outside of time and then we went back. The 15 minutes disappeared. I mean, it's what you call it. What you create is what it is. So this was absolutely mind-blowing information that just totally
This is
changed my
mind-blowing
reality in
information?
every possible way.
This is mind-blowing.
Because now,
a fake story from a
in-
con artist that never proved
In
anything.
February of
Claimed he invented
2022,
anti-gravity and free
Michael
energy.
tells me I was in a space program. Michael tells me that that I experienced sexual trauma.
He was in
in
a
the
space
program.
program and got butt
And
raped.
That well, we'll get into that because
Well, I don't know what he means by sexual trauma. That could mean anything.
I had no memory of
Up
any
to
of this
including
stuff at all.
being butt raped.
And all I had were lots and
Didn't he
lots
say
of
before that
dreams.
reptilians butt banged
As a
him?
kid,
I
I
think
had
so.
dreams about being eaten by monsters. And so monsters were very real to me as a child because I'd had these terrifying
He
monster
never shuts
dreams
up.
where like my hand is getting eaten or I'm being killed in different ways. Lots of really, really horrifying stuff.
Also known as
So
children's
some of my
nightmares
experiences in
or
the secret space
dreams.
program were bad, but then I had many experiences as well.
Now, all of a sudden, you know, he spent 8 years talking to Corey Good about Corey Good's secret space adventures, and he never mentioned during the entire 8 years of grifting with Corey Good that he was also in the secret space program. He waited 8 years, and suddenly he's recovering memories, and now he was in the secret space program? Sure, David Wilcock, sure.
Well, with positive angelic human
This
ETs.
guy is so full of shit. He can't even walk. He has to waddle. That's how full of shit David Wilcock is. Oh, I've suddenly remembered now that I need new material to sell stupid people. I was in the secret space program where I got butt banged by Draco reptilian aliens. It's so stupid.
That first showed up as Obi-Wan Kenobi after I saw Star Wars in 1977.
He's getting visited by
So
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
that whole idea
Oh my God.
is one way in
He
which
said peg.
hypnotic amnesia can be created. If you get a UFO and you have that technology, you can take somebody, in Ralph Ring's
That's
case, it was
pretty
only
gross.
15 minutes, but it could be years. And even going back to the original
gotta
book
tell you,
by
Daisy
Michael
B,
Ralph called The Mars.
I remember like clicking on the wrong porno video once, right? I just saw a hot girl in the and then I saw a hot girl with a strap on and some dude bending over, and I was like, oh my God, what did I just click on? And I had to get out of there. Don't want to see that. Yeah, pegging's not my thing.
Records He was talking about the
But hey,
20
whatever
back
floats your boat.
concept.
Some people
back
like that
in,
shit.
You know, I guess it was the
I used to
1990s.
know that we had these. I had this friend of one of my bands that hung out with us, and she would tell us, she would complain, Daisy B, that her boyfriend wanted to be pegged constantly. And I was like, wait, explain this to me. You put a strap on and bang him in his butt? And she was like, yeah, he loves it. And he wants to do it all the time. I was like, ew. Then I have to see this guy, and he didn't know that she told us all that he liked that shit. Oh.
Please. And so I've heard from other insiders that 20 years is the longest that they are allowed to take you anywhere, which is actually one cycle of Jupiter and Saturn conjunction.
Now he's recycling
up to 20 years, you could
20
be
of that
taken somewhere
bullshit.
else. You could be working. You could grow into adulthood from being a child. You have a 20-year experience. You do this whole tour of duty.
I don't remember that
and
either.
then the ship brings you right back to the moment you left. And it's perfectly seamless. And all you're going to have now are these amazing dreams that don't make any sense to you because it happened in what Michael calls a parallel lifetime. So that's one way in which somebody could
parallel life.
torture you and make you go through Satanism, and there'd be no way to ever know that it happened except that you have
they gaped him to death and brought him back alive with a med bed and
How
did
in
it
the
all
world
again.
could you
It's
prove
just so gross.
something like that is true? Well, we'll get to that. So that's one way, the extraterrestrial way. And again, if humans got a hold of this technology,
Bedwetting,
I don't know how they
guilt
get you to
trip.
wake up in the
Yes.
middle of the night and pick you up. I don't really understand a lot of this stuff, but I know it was happening to me.
Yeah, if
I
you
know
get
that
butt
over and
banged,
over again, I'd
just
wake
get in
up
a
in
med
the
bed
middle of
and
the night,
it heals your
I would
rectum.
get
Yes.
dressed, I'd pack my book bag, and I wouldn't even look at
The
the clock.
Montauk
It was
here,
like I
men
was
and
under
boys
hypnosis.
only.
And
Gross.
then I have now had deliverance. All that stuff has gone away. I am in no risk of being taken. There's no satanic connections anymore because I
Yeah, it's
actually
called
received
nightmares. I agree,
redemption. And you can get deliverance. You can. These Christian ETs will heal everyone, including the people who are in this cabal. If you've done the darkest stuff, if you yourself participated in murder, it doesn't matter. God or Christ, whatever you want to call it, is a God of forgiveness.
Yeah.
And you will be redeemed. That's what we're all going through. So you don't have to be afraid of the universe.
Yes.
You don't have to be
If you
afraid
see
of
Star
the good
Wars
guys.
and then you have a dream about
If you were stuck
Obi-Wan,
in
it
this
was an
group,
alien
the
visiting
group
you.
tries to make you very cynical about Christianity. They want to criminalize it, actually. But everybody has a path to full redemption. I do believe that. And I just don't want to get too religious or Bible thumping in terms of how I talk about it.
Allowed by who?
That way I can include more people. So that's one way in which people could bring you into a reality where you don't remember anything. But then another
Daisy
way
B
is
says,
back to
pegging is
Cleve Baxter.
hard work. You're
So this is the book where he disclosed his
Daisy B
work
is
with
saying
plants, where
pegging
he
a
hooks them up to
dude
a
is hard
polygraph.
work, not
And like you see in the graph on this page,
Okay,
it
Daisy
was
B.
right at the moment that he wanted to
So
burn
all
the
you
leaf of the
single
plant.
men
He
out
took
there,
out a
don't
match
ask
and burnt
Daisy
the
B to
leaf.
peg you. She doesn't
the
like
plant
doing
began
that. Too
screaming.
much work.
That sudden spike that you see in the red line over towards the right
Yes,
is right
all of
at
his
the moment where
prophecies
he was
came
burning
through
the
in a
leaf.
parallel
And the
lifetime.
plant didn't stop
Yes.
screaming until the leaf went away. Now, what was he measuring? The electrical activity
I
of the
go to
leaf.
work
That's it.
scraps, but not the WILCOCK.
So when a human is screaming, and when you're interviewing them in a
He
lie
had
detector
delivered
test,
squeal like a
if
pig.
they're having
What?
this internal
Squeal
stress,
like a pig,
it
David.
shows up as their electrical
Gross.
activity getting much more crazy, and that's how they tell if you're
Yeah.
telling a lie.
Yeah, well,
But
he
the
will.
other thing,
If he
besides
repeats
that
it,
very
it's
fascinating consciousness factor with plants being able to read our minds, and plants are screaming when they know that we're going to burn them, yes. Yes, they do. They don't want to be hurt. They're aware of what's going on. They're aware of our thoughts. This was a stunning scientific discovery.
Amy Collins says he gets into
But there was
the deep
something
in about
else.
15 minutes.
Cleve
Oh, man,
Baxter
you're gonna
had
be
also
doing another
studied
15 minutes
hypnosis.
of this shit, Amy Collins.
And he actually walked into a high-ranking military official's office. He asked the secretary if she would be willing to allow him to hypnotize her, and she said yes. He put her into hypnosis. Then he asked her to go and take out a highly classified document from the file cabinet. And she did so. And she brought it back to him. And then he stuck it in his briefcase.
Anna says
He
she would
closes
never
the
do what
briefcase.
even
And then he gives her a post-hypnotic
friends
suggestion that
told-
says,
it wasn't a girlfriend.
when
just
I count to 10,
kind of
you will not
kind of a
remember
friend.
anything that has happened, and you will not even remember whether I hypnotized you or not.
I just couldn't imagine
10,
asking a woman
9,
to do that.
8,
Like, it's
becoming
gonna be an
awake now.
awkward conversation.
7, 6, and he does this
Yeah,
whole thing.
talk about
She
strapple.
wakes up and she doesn't have any memory
I like that.
of getting the
right?
classified document.
Gross.
Again, when you're under hypnosis, you're very suggestible. You don't really have the ability to say no most of the time. And that would be something great for people who want to abuse other people, especially kids, because you don't really have the
So
ability
that's
to
where all
say
the
no.
screaming is when I mow the yard.
So then
the grass
Cleve
is screaming.
Baxter takes
Yes.
this classified document, goes into the officer's
Yeah, the
quarters
guy
and
put a
says,
plan on a lie
now,
detector.
how do you think I got this?
Total
And the
liars.
officer gets all pissed off and angry and you're not supposed to have this. This is crazy. You can read about it in this book again, Primary Perception. You're not supposed to have this. This is crazy. Do you want to know how I got it? Well,
Yes,
absolutely.
there's a parallel
because,
universe
you're
where
gonna be
David's
court-martialed.
predictions are all correct.
You know, you're going to be in trial here for stolen classified documents. He said, sir, with all due respect, I believe that national security required me to do this because everybody in the military needs to know that this could happen so that we can take proper countermeasures. Well, what happened? He said, I used hypnosis. I asked your secretary if she'd let me hypnotize her. She said yes. When she was under hypnosis, I had her go get the documents. And then I told her in hypnotic suggestion she wouldn't remember anything, and she didn't. So I propose that this was when it all got very deep black and Cleve Baxter was no longer involved, and they became incredibly excited because you can hypnotize people, you can have them go through prolonged experiences, and they won't remember anything as long as you do post-hypnotic suggestion properly.
Yet. Nope.
So this, I believe, is how most of the people who are the victims of this horrific evil cult go through it. I have spoken to people who are very likely candidates, without getting too specific. Yeah, you know, they probably were in this.
Go get the
probably had
documents
satanic stuff happen to them, but they don't remember anything. All they have is these night terrors. So one person I spoke to recently, who probably did go through this, all she had was just horrific nightmares every night when she was a teenager, and no memory of anything that actually happened. So in a way, I think this is more merciful. The way they do these ceremonies, everybody's wearing robes and masks, and that means that if you have a dream, you're not going to pick up any faces. Even if you remember your dream, you just see these scary images, and you're like, I don't know what the heck this stuff is. So there's no faces involved. And again, Chris Beskar's briefing is that these are evil aliens, Draco reptilians, Greys, sectoids.
Great. Everybody paid $400 to hear the scammy, shady aerospace CEO tell everybody about aliens at this $400 conference. What a ripoff.
And they do this on planet after planet after planet. The technology is nearly foolproof. They can pick you up in a UFO. They can do crazy stuff to you. You're not going to remember. You're only going to have dreams. They can use Cleve Baxter style hypnosis on you. You're not going to remember. You're only going to have dreams. I think it's actually pretty rare the people involved in this group do remember anything. Well, but another thing that Chris told me that most of the whistleblowers do not say is that you can get out. I got out in 1986 because I was ungovernable. I started, taking things over, grabbing a gun, holding people at gunpoint, saying, get me the F out of here. I'm done. I'm out of here.
David Wilcock, while he was in the secret space program in 1986, which would make him, let's find out how old is David Wilcock? I don't even know. I think he's like 55, isn't he? Oh, he's 51. So in 1986, he would have been like 10 years old, and he's holding guns and threatening people with guns, right? 1986, 73, I guess 51. I hate doing this. Let's see. 1 second. If he's 51 now, we'll just go 2024. He would have been born in 1973. So in 1986, he would have been 13 years old. So he's saying that he was in the secret space program at 13 years old, and then he pulled guns on people and said, get me the F out of here.
Stuff like that. I was very insubordinate. I was a sassy boy, and I did not like what was happening, and I got myself out. I said, put me back in the life that I had. I don't want any of this stuff, and I don't care if I ever remember anything.
Yes,
I'm
if it's
done.
Chris Bescor, it must be true.
Now, how many people would go through the kind of thing that happened to me? Probably not very many.
Yes,
I would say probably only a few thousand.
Dress up as Draco
How many
and
people
Gray's
are in what we could
sermon.
call the cabal? Maybe a few million in America.
Yeah, he's a gangster.
How
now.
many of those
Oh,
people
guns on-
remember anything that they had happen to them? Probably less than
over
half.
13 years old. Yes.
I think there are some people who are consciously aware of it because they have to participate in the media, in the music industry, in Hollywood, in big finance, big pharma, whatever they're doing.
He doesn't look like a manly
There are
man
people who get
does
brought
anything
into it,
like
and I
that.
feel very bad for those people because I'm really happy that I hardly remember anything. But I do have all these little bits and pieces that I can find to tug on. So now I want to talk about how Michael revealed this parallel life trauma to me. It happened
Parallel
on
life trauma.
May 22nd, 1997. I was unsealing this in February of 2022. And honestly, I'm not scared now, but when this first happened, I got very, 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 very freaked out.
I get scared.
I'm in the middle of the winter. I'm at home alone. Satanic beings picked me up and did horrible things to me, and humans that were participating with them in some weird underground military base or maybe even off planet. How do you even explain this? How do you even make any scientific case for this? So I want to show you, first of all, Michael has been giving me all these prophecies by this point. I've had tons and tons of incredible information coming through.
It's like listening to somebody talk
And
about
it's
their
like,
imaginary friend.
How do I
Michael told me this. Michael told me that. Can we see Michael? No, you can't see Michael. Only I can see Michael. Sounds like a mental patient.
process what he says here? So this is what happened. This is from May 22nd, 1997, as I said.
Yeah.
This was the headline
There's
that
a
I put
couple
in
years
later.
after
Physically
Secret
killed
Space Adventure.
beginning at age 5. The killer had begun my physical killing at age 5. What the hell does that mean? And then I was thinking about, because I can think to a certain degree as I'm getting the words and listen to them and respond. I said, oh, this must be the out-of-body experience that I had when I was 5 years old, which I talked about before. I showed you my pajamas. And there was a disturbing image on the front of the pajamas. We'll get to that in a minute. I saved my pajamas because I was so blown away that I had floated out of my body.
His
Which is
wife
a
was.
typical alien abduction scenario.
Master.
So I said, oh, well, if somebody was killing me,
Grift will be
was
secret
that
space program.
when I had my
war
out-of-body
story.
experience.
Yeah.
And then this is what they said.
Bullshit suit.
No, those are two different things. So wait a minute.
He needs
And
a
then the whole
wellness
rest of
check.
the context from
Yes.
later in the same day, you're about to see Michael says I was in an extraterrestrial space program.
He was a
So
sassy
clearly they're telling me that I was being killed in this program. And then Chris, the previous September, had said that they have the technology in Majestic, in the Cabal, whatever you want to call it, where
Yes,
they can
have
reanimate a
med
dead
beds.
body.
They have med beds.
So why wouldn't these sickos be killing children and then reanimating them? Well, apparently that's what was going on.
Why would you even
So
do
this
that?
very,
It makes
very
no
much
sense.
freaked me out, folks. It's not like I just
Yeah,
sat
let's
back and
kill
said,
these
oh,
kids
wow,
for
that's
fun. We'll
cool.
just bring them
No, I
back to
got
life.
very, very freaked out. I was being
Suits and
killed.
socks and
You mean those
pants.
dreams that I had as a kid where I'm being destroyed?
He
My
was a
hand
member
was
of the
getting
Mickey
eaten
Mouse
was
Club.
real. Oh my God. All these weird, and then I started to think about
Yeah,
this art that I
very
had done, these weird
disrespectful
drawings
to
I
real
had done.
victims of sexual assault.
Maybe there's something to that.
Very disrespectful.
So then
to
they say,
rip.
David has worked strongly with our extraterrestrial space program. This was in the interview I did later that day with Skip Weatherford, the hypnotherapist. I got very deep in trance. Whoa. So this is exactly like what Corey and I were talking about in Cosmic Disclosure.
Yes, you need some evangelism.
This is only one vehicle of exploration that we have available. By and
Totally
large, we now
coincidence.
need him
They
to
didn't
pull his
remember
weight
any
in
of
back.
this shit for the 8 years he was talking about the secret
So
space.
then Skip says, do you have
Now
a
he
name that
remembers.
we can call you by? And Michael did not want to reveal his name because I would have, if I'd known it was Christian, I would have ran from it. I wouldn't have walked, I would have ran from it. So he doesn't give the name yet. He wasn't going to say Michael at this point.
He saved the
So
pajamas.
he punts and he says, well, I am the one who shall remain nameless.
I think it's got semen
And he
stains
says,
all
David
over
is
it.
one of
Elmer.
us, meaning I'm like an ET soul. That's the wanderer
he's
thing I've
got
talked about
Draco
many
semen
times.
all over his
A lot of
pajamas.
you watching probably are.
Gross.
David's emotions have been juxtaposed against the emanations of misery. And it is my knowledge that he has had a hard time with this. Well, yeah, if you're being physically killed starting at age 5, that's how old you are when these sickos decide, yeah, let's just start taking the boy and having monsters eat him, and then, or we'll kill him satanically. We'll put him on a table. We'll do a ritual ceremony. We'll do all the horrific stuff, the chanting, the
What is
dagger,
he talking about?
stab him, kill him. He's terrified. He dies. Then we bring him back to life. Let's do it again. Because every time they do that, they can create a new partition in your personality. So it's like programming a computer. If you kill somebody and they come back to life,
Angels, demons,
they actually
aliens.
reincarnate into their own body with a new soul or a new personality, and then they can program that one. And so that's how this works. And again,
just to be clear, he is saying that he was put on a table and stabbed to death and then brought back to life. And they did it over and over and over again. Why would somebody do that? It makes no sense.
Years now has gotten me to reintegrate these fragments, to cast out demons, to have deliverance. And I really think getting off of drugs was the final step, which I'm now doing. So yeah, emanations of misery, absolutely. And it's my knowledge he's had a hard time with this. Woo, we got 5,908 viewers live right now. Thank you, everybody. 6,000 people.
Stupid people.
The experiences of his plane would be
Super
highly
soldier.
irrelevant to most people on Earth.
He'll get his
Find
adamantium
those people in the
skeleton
comments right now.
Wolverine,
I'm just
Amy
saying,
Collins. He'll be
nobody wants to
indestructible.
believe this is true. It's so esoteric. But nonetheless, he then says, it is the age of enlightenment that is upon us, forming a greater understanding. There will be a reconciliation of the trials and desires of the human experience.
The LARP
We have
Michael
great
was
trouble
behind
with David's
this whole
fears.
time.
They get in the way. And then Skip says, does he have a rebellious fear? And I think he already knew this because I am very rebellious.
Yeah,
And
that
then they
sounds
said,
racist.
David has had much experience with fear, energy, and forces. We have to constantly keep and maintain his focus. Why would they say much experience with fear, energy, and its forces? Well, if somebody keeps killing you and bringing you back to life, again, we already saw with
his own
Tesla
piss.
technology,
That's
this
one
is
of the
totally
things he
plausible.
does that we're sure
Put the
of.
grass in your pocket,
He
because
feeds
otherwise you're not
squirrels.
going to remember anything.
He takes
And they
baths
only did it
with his
for
own
15
piss
minutes,
to
but this
get
could be
superpowers, and he talks to
get tortured
angels.
and killed more than once.
He's
before
ready
they
for a
bring you
rubber
back.
room, this guy.
And when you come back, in my case, I would have a high fever. I would have geometric hallucinations. I would be remembering memories of this weird parallel lifetime that was like a lucid dream almost. Like I could just remember the gist of it. Some of it was horror, and some of it was this great feeling of being around Archangel Michael and other angelic Elohim human ETs. So he has had much experience with fear.
He can't even keep his own bullshit straight. Earlier in the stream, he said that there are angels and demons and aliens. They're totally different things. But now he keeps saying angelic ETs. So which is it? Are they aliens or are they angels? He's just mixing them all up for the benefit of the new age old bag crystal hippie bitches that send him money for this nonsense.
Fear, energy, and forces. Yeah, the whole point is this is real. This stuff actually did happen to me. The physical killings began at age 5. Wow.
Probably, yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that I lived through it all, and I'm still living a happy life. So it is possible to go through something this horrible.
He just went by that. Did it say repeated sexual abuse or something? And then he went right by that? Let's back up.
His focus. Why would they say much experience?
That's interesting. He makes a slide that says repeated sexual abuse, and he only and I guess he maybe like changed his mind and he took it off the screen real
fear,
fast.
Energy, and its forces. Well, if somebody keeps killing you and bringing you back to life, again, we already saw with the Tesla technology, this is totally plausible.
There's no proof that Tesla had any anti-gravity technology or free energy technology. Genius that the man was. And he certainly didn't invent med beds either. This is all just bullshit attributed to Tesla by new age grifter scammers.
Put the grass in your pockets, because otherwise you're not going to remember anything. And they only did it for 15 minutes, but this could be, you could get tortured and killed more than once before they bring you back. And when you come back, in my case, I would have a high fever. I would have geometric hallucinations. I would be remembering memories of this weird parallel lifetime that was like a lucid dream almost. Like I could just remember the gist of it.
This is a kid with a way too overactive imagination.
Some of it was horror, and some of it was this great feeling of being around Archangel Michael and other angelic Elohim human ETs. So he has had much experience with fear, energy, and forces. Yeah, the whole point is this is real. This stuff actually did happen to me. The physical killings began at age 5. Wow.
How much of a low life scumball do you have to be to try to pull on people's heartstrings and tell them that you were sexually abused and murdered at the age of 5 over and over again so that they send you money? Let's think about that for a minute. He's here begging for money, claiming he was sexually abused and murdered as a 5-year-old child.
And I'm here to tell.
He experienced repeated sexual wounding. And then he jumps off of this slide very quickly, right? Like, this is the height of scumballery. Unless he really was sexually abused, I don't know. But grifting off of old ladies while you're claiming that you were sexually abused and murdered as a 5-year-old child, and that you experienced repeated sexual wounding. And look how quick he jumps off of this slide, like he changed his mind about sharing that.
Tell
right?
you that I lived through it all, and I'm still living a happy life. So it is possible to go through something this horrible and have a complete restoration of your life, which is great. You know, nobody is ever lost. So this is where it really gets crazy. Look at this. If I understand it correctly, would it be of value to balance David's bodily energies? And they say, we perceive that there is a great deal of trauma in his red chakra, the sexual chakra, which you would perceive as being at the sacral base of the spine.
Yeah,
there we have a repression of
unbelievable
sexual
psychosis.
feelings and urges, and they're about to explain why. There has been repeated sexual wounding. It is the memory of this which has bled through, and I think bloodletting was involved because I was being killed. I mean, this is what I remember in my dreams. And why David is so solitary in his experiences now.
I sexually wound myself
I have
almost
to
every
tell
day.
you
I
that when
can't
this
fall
came
asleep.
through, I could not believe it. I said, what in the hell are they talking about? Sexual wounding?
Even Monty Python
I have
wouldn't
never
used
been,
this
nobody
spotlight.
laid a finger on me. My parents were angelic compared to the stuff that you hear about. Nobody ever molested me at all. There has never been anything, and I believe me.
He said in a previous live stream that he was sexually molested in ritual abuse. Now he's saying nobody ever touched him. He can't even keep his lies straight. It's one or the other, David.
I understand repressed memory syndrome. I understand how people get these memories back. If something like this had happened to me by anybody that I knew in school
WILCOCK gets
or in
sexual
my waking
wounding.
life in any normal capacity
Gross.
where I wasn't under hypnosis or something,
Banana
I
sandwich stream is
absolutely
my
would have
favorite.
remembered it by
Yeah.
now. Nothing ever happened. I didn't even know what sex was. I had no idea what it was until maybe about 6th or 7th grade, you know, and even then I had some confusion about what was going on.
Yeah, he's got space herpes
There
from
just had never
Draco's
been anything
Admiral
like
Rasmus.
this. But again, as I said, Cleve Baxter demonstrated that there can
Sexual
be
wounding
hypnosis
by
done where
Marvin
people
Gaye,
don't remember
yes.
anything. That information immediately went to groups like the company, and they're using it. And so
Well,
the
worse
people
and
who went
worse.
through this, probably a
After
lot
this
of them are
gets
never
better
going to
and
remember
better.
a darn
Or
thing.
worse and worse, depending
They're
on your
just going
point
to
of view.
have a really hard time with being sexual, which has also been my case, as I said
Oh,
last
here we go.
weekend. I don't want to go into all the detail because it's
Well, I
traumatic,
can't
but
have
you know,
sex with women. It
my
makes me
relationships
sick.
have not really been physical.
Yeah, we
Most of
played
the
this stuff
time,
earlier.
it's just a short amount of time, and then I start to have difficulty, and it doesn't make it
You mean you can't get it up?
you know,
or what's he
fun to
talking?
have a relationship because I just got overwhelmed. I mean, with my first girlfriend, the first time I made out with
This
my
brings
first
in the
girlfriend in
dollars.
college,
Oh, it's gross.
and she was Japanese, I started to feel sick, and I was very much in love with her. I thought she was beautiful. My heart was open to her, but as soon as I started getting physical, I felt like I was going to throw up. I had a very, very hard time with the whole process, and that has unfortunately
had
been
a hard time
consistent. I
banging
have
a
to feel
broad.
very safe. I have to feel
Yes,
very
feel safe.
stable. I can't just do it. It's got to be like
can't just
it's got to
do it.
all be right.
It's got to be
And
right.
I hope that I have
It's got to be
healed
wide
enough
and
from this
timed.
that
Feeling
in the
safe.
future it'll be different, but that's the way it's always been. And it's probably why people didn't stick around either. I mean,
First
it's not your
girlfriend
fault. It's
was
just
in college.
he's got trauma
Yeah.
and there's something going
I don't
on that he
know.
doesn't understand. Okay, so how would you get repeated sexual wounding?
I agree.
Like, what in the hell would happen? How could this possibly have happened to me? And what in the heck are they talking about with an extraterrestrial space program? So at the time, when this came through back in 97, I just immediately threw it away. I said, well, that's just BS. I don't know what the heck this stuff is. I'll keep doing the readings. But yeah, I mean, I've never had sexual trauma. Obviously, if it was, I would remember it, right? And I don't know what the heck they're talking about extraterrestrial space program. That doesn't make any sense. So then when I unsealed all this stuff in 2022,
his underwear the first time.
At the same time, I hear, well, here's Ghislaine in Disney World in 1983, a year before I went there. So I started to go back through my old papers, and now in 2022, I'm like, well, sexual wounding, ritual abuse, bloodletting, like space program. What in the hell is going on here?
Get no satisfaction.
Is there any evidence that would actually say that this is what happened to me? And the answer is absolutely yes. So now I'm going to take you through some of this. Some of it is very disturbing. I will acknowledge that. So again, if you've been hanging on, if any of this triggers you, I would ask you to either stop watching the show or come back later.
Right.
And in the meantime, just, I'm going to try to make it as enjoyable as possible, non-traumatic as possible. But I do think you need to see this stuff. So repeated sexual wounding, memories bleeding through, and why I became solitary, repressing my sexual feelings. So the first one that I want to show you is a document. I couldn't believe that I actually got this.
Oh my God.
But this is a creepy as you know what proof
Disneyland
that I made a visit to Disney World to meet with the executives because my grandfather and my father were both working at the General Electric main plant in Schenectady, and they were working with the group within GE that was making the animatronics for Disney World. So I'm going to show you a document of my father's boss talking about our trip to Disney World.
Oh, he was on Epstein
And I couldn't
Island.
have faked this. I mean, I guess I could, but I have the original. We can forensically date it. It'll backdate to 1984. It's not fake. I did crop the header out and the names out because I don't want the families of these people to be affected as much as possible.
So
here we go. Check this out. This is a real document. I have it right in my, in my papers here. March 8th, ironically, that's my birthday, 1984. Mrs. Martha Wilcock, that's my mother. I blocked out our address, Scotia, New York, 12302. And then on the bottom right, I want you to look at that before we do anything else. And it clearly says General Electric. At the top, it says the Magazine of Modern Industrial and Commercial Electrical Practices.
Could you imagine?
Again, I cropped out the header so that's
going
not
through
so
your
easy.
dad's papers to find like fake proof to tell people that you were butt banged at Disneyland by reptilian aliens in a secret space program? This is so stupid. Okay.
Try to dig through all this crap. So here's what he actually said. Dear Martha, it has been my wish for a number of years, because remember, my dad had this job before I was even born. So I was born into both of my father and grandfather working for Disney World in Schenectady, building their animatronics, and my dad was working on a magazine for the other parts of their business. It has been my wish for a number of years to have the opportunity to be able to personally introduce you, along with 9-year-old Michael and 12-year-old David, wink, wink, or 11-year-old David, to the members of our editorial council as the plans moved forward to hold our recent council meeting at Walt Disney World on March 1st and 2nd. This seemed to be an unusually splendid occasion. So he said, it's been my wish for a number of years, and he specifically mentions the 2 children. Well, so do you think that the editorial council of Disney World, oh, well, they're just like Boy Scouts. They didn't do anything. They're totally normal. No.
Oh my God, is he going to accuse people from Disneyland of being involved in a sexual abuse?
No, Ghislaine was there in 1983, a year before this. So these people are in it up to their eyeballs.
He was conceived.
And very likely, in addition to building animatronics, they build tunnels where they can run people through, and there's people that are being trafficked at these locations. This is now being widely accused.
Yeah, so here he is.
Well, then
being trafficked at Disneyland.
Nothing appears to have happened to me, right? But then my family was very, very involved. Very involved.
I agree, Admiral Red.
And then you and your family came down with a terrible case of intestinal flu. Oh, how sad and how coincidental, right? It's just got to be a coincidence that we all got sick when we went down there, which led to my mother being bedridden the entire time. She couldn't leave the hotel that we had at Disney. And so it was just dad swilling on kaopectate and my brother and me, we had it to some degree, but my parents had it much worse. Now,
Mounted
it's
by Mickey
possible
Mouse
that
at Disneyland.
this was caused because the subconscious, maybe my parents knew on some level that terrible things were happening to their son David, and maybe they didn't want that to happen, but consciously they don't know. And so getting sick was a way to try to cancel the trip, which would have been a great idea. If we'd canceled the trip, that would have been a great idea. But instead, I had to go through this. And so their souls were trying to stop this from happening, I believe, by inviting this illness. But Dad was, a hero, and he got me in there anyway. He was very sick, but he drank kaopectate the whole day, which is an anti-diarrhea medication. And we went through this. And so your family comes down with a terrible case of intestinal flu. It was further disappointing to learn that it was only possible for you to visit Epcot and the Magic Kingdom for just a few hours on Saturday. Your dear Don, my dad, advised that it is his hope to be able to make another family visit sometime in the future.
Well, time travel.
They would love that, wouldn't
makes
they?
Everything
Bring in
possible.
those children, man. And they say, we very much missed you. It gets creepier and creepier. He writes all this stuff. Why is this letter so long? It is my wish to have you know that we very much missed you. We missed your kids, right? And we are hoping that you will feel much better very soon. It continues to be.
What's really sickening is, like, I have a brother, and if my brother went on the internet claiming that we were both ritually abused or sexually abused at Disneyland, I would be pissed. He's willing to just like throw his brother under the bus. Yeah, these people at Disneyland wanted to butt bang me and my brother, and it's gross.
My hope
it's just so
to have
gross.
this special experience.
This is the worst rift of his I've ever seen.
It continues to be my hope to have this special experience of being able to personally introduce you to our editorial council. As you know, I have a super regard for Don. We work so closely together on the magazine that it is like having him as my brother. It would not have been possible to develop the current posture of the magazine without his dedication and skill. So reading between the lines, what is this special experience that they wanted me to have, that they wanted us to have? There could be a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like the short of children at Disneyland. They got to bring in children.
Very, very evil.
Abuse.
And he says they want to have a special experience and personally introduce you to our high-ranking editorial council, which probably includes Elaine and everybody else.
Not washing hands. And
I'm looking forward to a future special occasion. I'm looking forward to a future special occasion that will permit you to become acquainted with our distinguished editorial council. Very best regards, yada, yada, General Electric. Okay, well, we've only lost like 100 people, so you guys are tough. You're hanging in there. And thank you for hanging with me. I'm trying to, I had a hard time going through these slides before. Now it's gotten easier. But again, the reason I showed you this is not to do anything except to give you proof that I went to Disney World with the editorial council, with the highest ranking people. And they're talking about having special occasions, and they sincerely wish.
Yeah, how'd you like to be, at least he redacted their names, but how'd you like to be those people that worked at Disneyland and get accused of butt banging David Wilcock so that he could grift money off of old ladies? Or how'd you like to be his brother, where he's basically saying him and his brother were butt banged at Disneyland so that he could grift money from stupid old lady fans of his? This is sickening and something else. We have made it an hour and 48 minutes, which is more than the halfway mark. We may return and do the other half, but I can't listen to this grifter anymore. That is enough. It's just enough. Yes, David Wilcock was trafficked to a secret space island, and Archaic Revival says he will do anything for money. Yeah, up to and including claiming that he was sexually wounded. Right? This is something else. Anything for money. And I agree with Elmer. It's like there's a big shortage of children at Disneyland. They have to import children to abuse the executives there. It makes no sense. The Snow White fairy godmother could not give Wilcock a brain. Yeah. Self-licking ice cream cone says, please no. Yeah, I'm checking out, man. I can't do any more of this. He's talking about getting butt banged at Disneyland. Like, this is just just gross. You know, at some point you go, this is just gross, man. It's just gross. And the fact that he's begging for money and claiming that he's in contact with in contact with angels who are telling him about this stuff, and going through his like dad's old papers to try to find some kind of corroborating evidence to back up his Disneyland butt banging story. You got to give him credit. That's some dedication to the scam code or something, or the grift squad, right? Keep on finding a new low. Now he thinks his audience, minus 100 of them, are his personal therapists. Yes. Well, we have done our due diligence. I think if I have time, we're going to run through the other half of this in the next couple of days, if not early next week. It's not going anywhere. I'm just hoping that he doesn't drop another stream this weekend, but he probably will because he needs money so bad. So what can I say, friends? We have done our due diligence for today. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And we want to make sure that we thank all of you kind and generous benefactors, you PayPal pledgers, you Super Chat people, you Patreon supporters, YouTube channel members, and of course, you Super Thanks people. Even if the broadcast is over, you can hit that money button and help us to praise the cash, bitches. If I haven't decided how much I need money, but maybe I should start claiming sexual abuse. Get some sympathy super chats. We want to thank a kind and generous North for a $50 PayPal pledge, who says, if I was a demon, I'd come to the Wilcocks of the world, those who sell spiritual knowledge. I disguise myself as an angel and give them the wrong information time and time again and feed off the energy of their downfall, but that's just me. Well, thank you, though, for your kindness, generosity, and support. That is very, very kind of you, and we appreciate your kindness, generosity, and support. So, listen, we've done our due diligence. We've been here for just under 3 hours. Incredible. It takes a while to go through these, especially, well, I don't know. I have been doing them quicker because I don't stop. I just talk over the clown. It's easier than stopping, and it takes longer if you're stopping the video every few minutes. So that's all I got for you, friends. We're going to play the show out with a wonderful music video starring David Wilcock by our excellent friend Simon Fly, and this is a comedic parody, so it is covered under fair use. This is a wonderful song that we'll play us out for tonight with, called I'm David Wilcock. I thank each and every one of you for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you'll be here with us. So that's all I got, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Very good. 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 I'm David Wilcock. I'm David Wilcock. I'm David Wilcock. Cock. Wow. 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 Extraterrestrials, angels, cock. Extraterrestrials, angels, cock. Extraterrestrials, angels, cock. Extraterrestrials, angels, cock. Wilcock. 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 It's here. Cock. Extraterrestrials, angels, cock. Extraterrestrials, angels, cock. Extraterrestrials, angels, cock. Extraterrestrials, angels, cock. Woo! 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 Cock. Woo! 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 I'm David Wilcock.